Welcome everyone to the Cycles 2.0. Okay, so I would love to know in the chat, get used to using the chat. If you are brand new here, pop a one in the chat. If you are new here, pop a one in the chat. If you have met me before, you've done something with me before, maybe you've been in the cycles, then put a two in the chat. Because it's funny, I think there are some of you who have no idea why you are here. You were just attracted to an image. Let me know if you've got no idea why you were here, or a friend or a practitioner has recommended my work to you. Okay. And actually, this is how I love people to find me now, is without too much detail and rather a curiosity. And also when I run things like this, like the cycles, my free online events, I have a bit of an idea of what I'm going to share, and then it all comes together at the last minute. Like literally this morning, I was getting new stories in my inbox. Yes, Sophie, you sent me a message and I responded to it about my horses. Okay, so the Cycles 2.0, this is the next evolution. There are replays in the Facebook group. If you have joined the Facebook group, hopefully you have received the email. You don't need to be in the Facebook group, but there is a little bit extra going on in there. So the replays from the original cycles is in there if you want to go and watch them, but you don't need to. Okay, so this was a free space that started at the end of 2025, which was numerologically a 9 year. It was a year of completion, integration, and wisdom. And then we entered 2026, a 1 year, which was all about openings, new beginnings, and transformation. And we also transitioned to the Chinese Lunar New Year. So we ended the year of the snake, which was all about shedding away the layers, and entering the year of the horse, which was about freedom, energy, and momentum. So the cycles is a space where I focus more on manifestation of the good stuff in life because we are manifesting everything. And I love to speak about the identity shifts and the energetics at play and how we move in cycles with the laws of nature. Now, each of these sessions go for around 60 to 90 minutes. Sometimes I've been on a call for 4 hours with live coaching. So I just relax into it and I encourage you to interact with me in the chat. I catch what I'm able to, and you will be curating this experience through what you share in the chat, what you share on my posts in the Facebook group if you choose to be in there. But I will be emailing out the replays from this time round. Last time, they were only in the Facebook group, and those original replays will only stay in the Facebook group. So let me just catch up in the chat. There's a bunch of you that are new here, and some of you who have been following along for a long time, I see, which is great. Thank you so much. Great to have you here. Is there anyone here that has no idea why they're here? All right, and everyone coming in from around the world. Excellent. Okay. So I love to gently call out, or maybe a little bit direct and blunt at times as well, the bypassing that our sneaky human does when it comes to the emotional work, but also the world of manifesting the life that we desire. And you might find that you absorb in this space by osmosis, which I absolutely love. There were some really cool breakthroughs from people that have only ever been in my free space. Okay, I love to say that magic happens when you're in my space. And I really love you to be able to sustain the inspiration that you might take away from these next few days. I love you to experience the flux and flow of movement, but also rest. So, how are you going to make the most out of this experience? I want you to come with an open and curious mind, listen with your heart, feel with your body, because it's going to hear and it's going to understand on a deeper level before your mind can actually comprehend some of the things that I'm sharing. And when I get into talking more about the desire, manifestation of the good stuff, energetics, it is less about understanding. And some people can struggle with that. So just tune in and stay curious, ask questions. And I've got the wonderful Kylie who's here, Kylie Team Jin Ong. She is going to be in the chat responding to any questions and just helping you along the way. And she's got a really cool story to share with you later as well. Okay, so get used to using the chat. comment on the replays if you're in the Facebook group, respond to the emails and let me know what you get out of it if you're just receiving the emails. And for those of you who had some really cool shifts the last round of the cycles, earlier part of 2026, I want to hear what's been happening in your life since. Okay. And it may be that you share it in the chat for others to allow yourself to be seen, or you put it on the Facebook group. Even if you repeat it, the more you share in my world, the more it amplifies what it is you desire. So at the end of each of my shares, I am going to host some live coaching at the end, and I'll just get through however many people I can get through. Sometimes there's some pretty deep questions, other times they're just brief things that I prefer to have a discussion about because I know written words versus spoken conversation comes across very differently. Okay, so this first session of the cycles of 2.0, I am likely going to put it on the podcast. There is so much gold that gets shared in these sessions, and I would love to share it with more people. And I really trust that this has crossed your path at the right timing. So some people might find this down the track, and I didn't end up closing this group. I didn't really know what I was going to do with it. I thought maybe this can become my new free group where there's a little bit more substance in here. Okay, so some people were going to find their way into here, or you might invite a friend, a family member, because you just love what you hear. So for now, the group is open, the replays will be hosted there. And because this first session may go out on the podcast or will go out on the podcast, I want you to take responsibility for what you share. So I love to connect with you. I love to use your name. I see Kendall. Kendall's been on my stuff in the past. It helps me anchor into who you are and really support you on this journey. I want you to take responsibility for what you share, but know that it's going to help others that might be too scared to ask a question in the chat or too scared to give voice to it. Okay. And I don't want you to have regrets for what you share. Everything that I put out there is unedited. It is raw, it is unfiltered, and that is the way that it's going to go on the podcast. So you share what you feel comfortable with, and sometimes you might choose to stretch yourself, but just know that it may be heard by a wider audience as well. Okay, just this first one. So, what else is there? When I wrapped up the first cycles, I did an extra session about the year of the horse. Okay. This is the lunar, the Chinese New Year, year of the horse. And I spoke about how support and energy is all around us, but really to question and get curious about how you're interacting with it. So I talked about the 9 year, the 1 year, the year of the snake, the year of the horse. And one of these sneaky bypasses is people just like hand themselves over to the energy that is surrounding them with the hope that it is going to have some sort of impact. So I say that energy, support, the momentum from the year of the horse, it is always there. But the question is do you have capacity to actually receive it? And do you have the capacity to hold it? Okay. So I do have 5 beautiful personal horses of mine, one multiplied to 5 very quickly. And I never knew that they were going to help me so much with my work. I really did go on a horse journey just for something personal, something outside of work. But they have given me so many beautiful stories to be able to share and teach you, so many analogies with life. So, for those of you who are new here, my name is Jin Ong. I am originally from Melbourne, Australia, and I'm living on the South Island of New Zealand. So, some of you might know Wanaka, Queenstown, we're close to there. We're in the ski country. Okay, beautiful mountains, glacial lakes. It's just absolutely stunning. And I have been through so many beautiful career evolutions and identity shifts. And I dance in the world of pain and pleasure, and I absolutely love both of these realms. I listen to people's language in both written and spoken form. And so, something that's landed for me recently, I'm always seeing patterns. And when I see a pattern repeated many times over, I will usually share it in this format or put it on my podcast or try and speak about it in social media. And lately, what's landed for me is these words of random and lucky and how much weight there is to the words that we speak. And so people often, I find, refer to their pain, which might be physical issues, but the pain could be a challenge or a repeating pattern in your life. but they refer to it as random in a kind of dismissive way. Okay, they say, "Oh, that's so random." An example is people getting sick. Oh, I don't know, it's just so random that I got sick. Or they notice something not so pleasant happens in their life, like, oh, this challenge, this repeating pattern, it's just so random. And sometimes what happens, and I want you to maybe see if you can see yourself in these stories, is that you might say, oh, that's so random, but you have this whole other internal dialogue going on in your head. Okay. It's an internal dialogue that says otherwise, that actually you really know why you've got this pain, this physical issue, the stress that's in your life. You actually recognize that there is this repeating pattern, but sometimes you just don't want to admit it to the outside world. And one of my beautiful friends, she said, nothing replaces group work. Okay. You're in a group because you can hide in one-to-one work, and one-to-one work is so valuable. But I encourage all of my clients that do one-to-one work to put themselves in a room, in a group, online, in person, to actually truly be seen. Okay. So just recognize if you have this internal dialogue where you say, oh, that's so random, but actually or you're curious about why is this pattern repeating itself? And then sometimes when I hear people say, this is so random, I think, okay, there's a deeper level of awareness here, but you're not even aware about it. Okay, is this making sense? It gets a little bit curly, all right? I have this diplomatic view. I'll see both sides, the pain and the pleasure. Okay, so I know that I have said this myself before when I used to get sick all of the time. It's like, oh, yeah, it's just so random because I didn't want to admit that there was stress in my life that I wasn't actually addressing because I didn't know how. And the interesting thing is that if you're someone who's hearing somebody else talk about their random pain, their random issues, their repeating patterns in life, you can usually tell that there's something deeper going on. Okay. But when we say, and I want you to catch yourself if you are still saying, oh, this is so random that this has happened in my life, that when you say this is random, sometimes it blocks you off because I can see so much of what's going on for people, but when they tell me it's random, I think you're not actually ready to hear the truth of what's actually going on. Okay. We speak in energy before we even speak the words. So when someone says to me, oh, I never get sick, I'm like, I'm pretty sure you've been sick 5 times this year. And so there's like this denial that's happening because actually it was through pain, it was through sickness that I received the most beautiful messages. Now, the flip side of this, yeah, for sure. Nothing is random. Okay. Is it because we don't want to own it that it's not random? Yeah. Thanks, Kylie. Okay. So on the flip side, when it comes to success, manifesting the life you desire, I notice that a lot of people have difficulty in celebrating. Okay. So you might attract a beautiful relationship. You might have this amazing home, this incredible life. And then when you're talking to people, you might say, oh, I'm just lucky. Okay. You're dismissing the life that you've created as lucky. And the internal dialogue is this person doesn't have what I have, and I don't want them to feel bad. I don't want to feel criticized. I don't want to feel judged. So I'm just going to pass this off as luck. Okay. Who's done this? I'm just lucky. Now, the other thing that can come as a projection onto you is people say, you're lucky. They think you're lucky. And I've had this myself. And I think, oh my gosh, you're only seeing the end result. You're not seeing the journey of creation. You're not seeing how everything has been intentionally placed behind the scenes. Okay. So are you someone that says, oh, it's just random. Oh, it's just luck. But actually, you're dismissing everything that has been presented to you in life. And I want you to come away from today and maybe just being very acutely aware of how you're using your words, the impact that it is having. Because if you're someone who's created success in your life, yes, it can be triggering for people, and yes, they can project their pain. But also, there's a bunch of you out there that want to be inspired. You want to be shown that this is possible. Okay. So when it comes to manifestation of the good stuff in your life, and I always say we are manifesting pain and challenge, and we are also manifesting the life that we desire. Manifestation plays into many areas of life. So transforming your health, your relationships, your career, and your money relationship is some of the main areas that I see. Okay, so everything has a beautiful message, whether it be pain and challenge or celebration and success. And I see that having a foundation and being able to process your emotions is so essential. Okay, whether you're in the world of pain or you're in the world of pleasure. And I want to help you move more into the world of pleasure. Loosed. Yes, I think a lot of my friends are lucky and I'm not so lucky. Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for sharing that because there's a lot of people in my world, and some of you might be just sitting on the sidelines thinking, she shares all these incredible transformational stories, but that's for them. It's not for me. They've got some sort of magic sauce that I am missing. And I can tell you that everybody who has manifested in my world has put the work in, and they once were the person who said, I didn't know if it was possible for me. Okay. So I love that you're shedding light on this because it's a belief that can sometimes hold us back. And I love that you're in this space because you can see what is possible. And I share my story quite transparently. I have a million stories, and honestly, it depends on the questions that you ask me as to how far deep I go. And I want to turn these triggers into an activation. Okay, we can be triggered and we can just go, this is not for me, I'm out of here. And for some of you, as you're listening over the days, you might decide this is just over my head, this is not for me, it's just not for me right now. And you can just remove yourself quietly. Or you can get really curious. And I love talking about energetics, masculine, feminine. Feminine is curiosity. Okay, judgment is not the healthy way. The remedy is be curious, ask questions, because most of the people that I know who have created amazing transformations in their life, they want to share it with you, but they also want you to have capacity to be able to receive it. Okay. So here's my first story. Oh, let me see what's happening in here. Are you going to share tools for moving through emotions? Yeah, you, well, yes. And people do move through their emotions in this space, in this experience. It definitely is a journey. You're going to find out more if you're prepared to stick around. And as I said, people do get some amazing breakthroughs through the listening. I've got more to say on this, so stick around. Mary, I've never actually considered what shows up in my life as random. I love that. Inner state creates outer circumstances. Absolutely. The hard part is zeroing in on the root cause related to patterns and the energy that needs releasing. Yes. Okay, cool. I am currently sharing all of the tools for emotional processing and capacity. Okay. So I've been learning to jump my horse, and just my horses give me some great stories and analogies to share with you that are parallel with life and what you experience. Now, you don't need to understand horses. You don't need to be interested in horses. So sometimes just remove that block, like, I don't like horses. It's okay. I'll come up with another example for you if you're really struggling. But my most recent journey is that I have a desire to start or break in my horses. Break in is like the old terminology. It's not so PC anymore. I want to start my own horses so that I can ride them and take them on adventures. I ended up breeding my own horses. I have two young ones out the back there. And you know what? It absolutely scares me. It scares me because there is real risk involved, like physical damage that could happen. But I believe there are ways that you can mitigate this. And it scares me as well because I realize that if I want to do this, if I want to achieve this in my life, things need to change. And so, some of the more superficial things that I've realized need changing is that it would be ideal for me to lose some weight. Now, I know that I don't look like I'm carrying that much weight, but for me, I know I'm carrying 10 to 15 kilos more than would be really healthy for me. I don't mind the weight that I am right now, but it would be much kinder to my horse if I was lighter. Okay. And I need to become a better rider. And the only way I'm going to do that is actually getting on the horse. So I've also realized that I need to be more stable. If I don't want to fall off and risk injury, I have to be okay that I might fall off and I might get injured. But how can I prevent that? I'm going to become more stable with my core. I'm going to exercise, and that means I'm going to start Pilates. And so I started this about a month ago. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just so freaking sore. I'm so uncomfortable. I'm so tired. I'm like napping in the afternoon. I'm going to bed at 7 p.m. because I'm stretching myself. And I'm getting on the horse and I'm actually riding it. And I am getting lessons. So, out of this longer term journey that's going to start next year of starting my horses, I realized, oh, actually, I've had another dream to learn to jump on one of my beautiful horses. And this also scares me. I had a lesson yesterday, maybe out of procrastination, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but I'm just going to go ride a horse instead. And it turns out that everything has come together. Well, I hope it's come together. I hope it makes sense to you. But I thought yesterday, what if I jump and I go a little bit higher and I fall off and I hit one of the poles and I get concussed and then I can't present myself today, right? These are the things that go through my mind. And I know that they're probably what go through your mind as well, that maybe stops you from these opportunities. Now, I had so much fun yesterday. Okay. I am just such a huge advocate for support. So I've engaged in someone to help me with Pilates because I have a lot of challenge in actually pushing myself to that discomfort that's going to stress my body in a positive way and actually help me grow. I have someone who supports me with the jumping lessons because the jumps scare me. I think they're so high and on video they look so small. And the amount of times I just want to bail from the jump and she's like, "No, you go over that jump." She says it in a really growly voice, but it's like it's the push, it's the drive, it's the support that I need. Okay. And as I said, it's been sore, it's been uncomfortable. I said to my Pilates teacher, Bree, it's like, oh my gosh, do people, because it's been so long since I've exercised, it's like, do people feel like this all the time when they exercise? And she said, you'll get over it. And 3 weeks in, I'm over it. It feels good. Okay. And I can see everything improving in my life. Now, I've had some really interesting realizations during these lessons. Is the lady who teaches me how to ride, um, when I do a good jump round, it feels like a fluke. It feels so random. And she's like, that was actually pretty good. I'm like, well, I have no idea what I did. Okay. And when you jump your horse and it's just all lined up, sometimes without thinking about it, it is the most amazing feeling. It feels great. It probably looks great on video as well. But sometimes you can jump a little bit too close, you can jump from a little bit too far away, and it doesn't look great. It doesn't feel great, and it's a little bit scary. Okay. And she says something to me, and I don't know if I'm interpreting this correctly. I could be butchering it, but for the purpose of this, I feel like it makes sense. She said people think they can train for 2 weeks and go in an event and they just nail it on their day. Their jump gets all the horses, it looks amazing, it's just so good. And they think that the 2 weeks of training is what resulted in that session being really good in being able to perform well in that event. Okay. And she said, and sometimes it's got nothing to do with that. Sometimes it's just a good day. Your horse is feeling great. You're feeling good. The weather, the environment, everything's lined up. And the horse just randomly does a good round. Okay. That's what it feels like for me because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to stay on the horse and not fall off. Now, she said, and she's so experienced with her riding. She's ridden so many different horses. She's been in so many different competitions. And she said to me, I can place my horse's foot exactly where I want it. I can place it this far away or I can place it this far away from the jump. And I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, really? You actually can intentionally do that and place your horse's feet exactly where you want it so that you know that you're going to nail the jump every single time. And then I thought, this is so good. This applies to life. Okay. Is that people think things are random or lucky. And I am like randomly like nailing a jump round, and other times it just feels like a hot mess. But we are always manifesting the pain or the challenge or the success or the celebration and desires in our life. But sometimes we just can't see it. So she is so experienced that she can watch me do a jump round and she knows exactly how each jump is going to play out. She can see what I cannot see. Okay. I know that if I am going to repeat as many times as she has, I don't know if I'll ever be as good as she has, but she's definitely an inspiration. If I just keep on repeating over and over and over again, I start to be able to relax. It starts to be like, oh, okay, I know I can stay on the horse. Now I can start to see how close my horse is or isn't from the jump. Okay. So does this story make sense? Is that the more consistent you are, the more you actually repeat the thing to the point where it almost gets a little bit boring, you start to be able to see differently. And this is experience. And so this is why sometimes people struggle in this space, because when I start talking about energetics, when I start talking about desire, you can't learn it. You've got to experience it. You actually have to get on the horse and you've got to feel what it feels like. And sometimes you got to do the thing, even though it freaking scares you. Okay. But it is the best feeling. And I feel like a little kid out there. And I know that these feelings are actually going to disappear at some point. Okay. So I see the pathway of improvement. I see the places that it's going to take me. And it's so exciting. She invited me to like go on different jump adventures with her. And I just felt so special because like I'm actually in there, I'm on the horse, I'm not pussyfooting around. She can sees that I've got the determination. And so she's like, come on, you can come with us. And it just feels so cool. So you can be so intentional, like my friend is, being able to place her horse exactly where she needs it to have things flow. You can be so intentional and understand that I know that pain and challenge isn't amazing to experience, but it has a beautiful message for you if you're willing to go deeper, if you're willing to give it time, space, consistency, persistency, and be insistent about the whole process. Okay. And why I value support from my friends is that I get there so much faster. Friends or people that I meet along the way, people that I invest in, is because with their experience, they can just see the stuff that I'm not able to see. But my work is to have the capacity to be able to receive their feedback. Okay. Let me see what's coming up. When people share with me about their experience, whether it be pain and challenge, celebration and success, I can see exactly why they are having the issues that they're having or why they are attracting the great opportunities in life. Okay. Let me see what's going on here. You're interested in horses, Zabi. I'm fascinated by the healing humans can experience with horses. Yeah, and this is what Sophie messaged to me. Thank you, Sophie. I've known Sophie for a little while. And she said, when did it click for you that you realized horses had this healing energy for humans? And she said that, I hope it's okay. I share this, Sophie. She said, I grew up riding horses as a kid, as a teen, but I only just clicked the other day or last year when I started seeing on Instagram the power of the healing of horses. And I was like, yeah, these people in the horse world, I don't know why they don't talk more about. And this is so funny because Holly Barnett is coming in the room and she's a horse lady that I know from years back before I was into horses. It's like I just had no idea that they were going to have this impact in my life and in my work and help just simplify these sometimes curly concepts when it comes to the world of energetics. So it's still an ever evolving journey. So when did I know? I don't know. I'm still finding out is the truth. Kendall, I struggle with people labeling me as unlucky. I've been struggling with my health for a long time, and I've done work trying to change my thinking to think about my health journey, to how it's serving me and what it's teaching me. But then someone says I'm unlucky, and I feel like I have to fight hard not to think that way again. So, yeah, Kendall, I really love the way that you're able to present yourself in written format because for me, it's not that easy to write. But I've had some interactions with you, and I love how you show up. And this is where we've got to consider who is around us in our environment. How are they influencing us? Because I hear people, particularly in the health world, being told things by a practitioner that has well-meaning, good intention, but the way it's interpreted by the mind can be quite harmful. Okay. It can be the thing that holds people back. Okay. And yeah, I would definitely speak up and use my voice. And this is one of my pillars of growth and evolution is leadership and communication is say the things that you're not used to saying. Okay. Say the things to pre-frame to people. How is it that I want you to interact in my world? Okay. Call them out a little bit. Like I'm gently calling out some of you without you maybe realizing about the words random and lucky. Like change the narrative, change the words that are spoken and the power of what you attract. Okay, great. And I love the shares are helping you relate to one another. What if you could simply love yourself into your ideal weight? Oh my gosh, yes. Well, Kylie's got a really cool story for you. And yeah, absolutely. So, you know what? I love myself the weight I am, and I'm curious as to how different I could feel. And you know what? 3 weeks in, I already feel so different. I don't weigh myself on the scales. I own luggage scales. I can't weigh myself that way, right? So it is ultimately about what I feel, not the number, not the result. So I'm going to get stable. I'm going to get more fit. And I actually know a wonderful woman in my life who ended up losing a massive amount of weight, and the drive was for her horse. Okay. It is much kinder for your horse not to be carrying a whole heap of weight on them. Okay, so these amazing horses that support us. All right, let's see what else is coming through. It's because life is coming through you, allowing you to jump. Yeah, absolutely. Melody, I'm currently learning to communicate with a new rescue dog, so this makes a lot of sense. I love that. And, sometimes I feel a little bit weird and I've questioned myself for a long time, like, why do I share these stories? Because I hope they make sense. All right. But we're trying to make sense in our mind. That kid feeling the fear that comes up. I've got this other little have a go day. It's not even an event. I'm not eventing. It's like a little kids pony club day. And me and my adult friend, we feel a little bit bad that we're taking ribbons from these kids. So we're like, we just want to jump. Maybe we'll say you can just keep the ribbons for the kids. We just want our horse to be in the ring. It's such a cool feeling. But you know what feels really vulnerable is like, I want to be the best. I want my horse to do a great jump. And it was really cool because I saw the amount of people that were literally having a go and their horses were refusing to go over the jump. It was never getting into a canter. And I had so much more admiration for these people to like not do a good round rather than to have a successful round. Okay. And it's all about intention and energy, whether you're working through pain and challenge or whether you're working through manifestation. Okay. And this is the funny thing, like when you shared with me, Sophie, what was going through my mind is like, yes, you've had like horses in your life for so long, but there was another level that you didn't realize was available of what they could give you. And so let that journey begin. It's so cool. All right. Yeah. Ultimately, it is all about how I feel. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Where am I at? So yeah, basically, I can see exactly why people are experiencing what they are experiencing. And it's so funny is that some people get so caught up in the story that they um that they never stop to ask the question of someone who might be observing. Okay. I hear people talk a lot about their pain or the appointments they're going to, and I don't know if they really know what it is I do because I'm there to ride my horse. But I'm like, I could give them so much insight if they actually stop to ask the questions. Okay. All right. What else do I want to share with you? Um, I do have some notes because I do have a bit of an ADHD brain and I can get very distracted with what is going on. Okay. Where am I at? Where am I at? Oh, this is so strange. So I've got some notes to guide me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I think they've all gone. Just one moment. Let me see if I can find them. This is so funny because, I teach that the emotional work is like, what happens when like everything gets taken away? And it's like, where have my notes gone? Okay. All right. I've got it. I've got it. I'm all good. It's always here. So, when it comes to manifestation, which is what I really love to focus in the space of the cycles, okay, I believe that to be able to access your future, you have got to be able to access your past. So many people want to bypass their past, the uncomfortable work. It's what I say is the first phase of discomfort that most people avoid. And when it comes to manifestation, if you are in spaces where you are trying to learn this, they will talk about stepping into that future identity of yourself. Visualize, what do you look like? What do you How do you speak? What are you eating? What does your life look and feel like? And then they'll say, most importantly of all, what is your emotional state? What is the feeling that you are embodying? And the thing is that quite often manifestation of a future version of yourself is a version of you that you once had many, many years ago that you would like to attain again. You'll never attain that same version, I'll just say that. Or it is something that you have never, ever experienced. You don't actually have any evidence for it. And so to be able to try and recreate or embody something you have no evidence for is very challenging. And most people have no problem writing down, sharing what it is they want, material things, how they look, how they feel in a very mental way. But where they get unstuck, where they struggle to move forwards with manifestation and then throw it all in the bin, is they really struggle to feel the emotions because they don't have evidence for it. Okay. And then that is where then the teachers in the manifestation space will say, you need to work on your past, you need to work on your trauma. And it feels like you're taking 100 steps back, but you're not, which is why I always start people with processing their emotions, because you access your past to be able to access your future. Your past is something that you have very clear evidence for. You know that you have actually walked this life, these events, these experiences, but really there's just emotions from these events and experiences that you didn't know how, or you didn't give yourself space and time to be able to process and to actually feel. So you may have a past that has some negative experiences, but they are pain and challenge that has a message for you. Okay. And I want you to be able to go back and be able to find out what this message is, to be able to hear this message that your physical body or the life around you is trying to communicate to you. And it is about being able to feel comfortable in some of these negative emotional experiences, which are simply just normal. Okay. Because I tell you that when you step on the path of manifesting a life that you desire, it is absolutely normal for challenges to come up, but you will just have a different perspective, a different lens at how you see these challenges. So I'm better known for working with people in the world of pain. My background is as an osteopath, an acupuncturist, and a herbalist. And people used to think that I could do things with them because of my title and qualifications. And people used to see me because of my title or my profession. Oh, I'm going to see you because you're an osteopath. And as I started to evolve and work deeper with emotions and manifestation, it all of a sudden became disappointing that they came to see me as an osteopath and they got this instead. Okay. And I've actually let go of this title. I deregistered last year because my work has evolved so much. And now people see me for me. Okay. I can't categorize myself in just a couple of words or in a title. And even that, I'm saying that different words hold different meaning and emotions for people, is that different titles and professions mean different things depending on the person who's applying it and who is receiving it. Okay. So now people see me for me. And that's why it takes me a little bit longer for you to experience whether or not I'm the person that you want to go on a journey with. And I rote learned my way through school and university. I just wanted to get the pass. Okay. And it was painful to have to do that. And I love how I'm so intuitively led now. There was a lot of deconditioning, a lot of curiosity. And I had people over the years say, I want to study to be an osteopath so I can do what you do. And I'm like, this is not osteopathy. This is through seeing thousands of people over my career, patients and clients, that I started to be able to see beyond the person and the condition that they were presenting with. I was able to see beyond their story and just hear their words on a different level. I started to see patterns and I started to read the world in patterns and in cycles. And so I often say that things are external before they're internal. So by the time your internal body, your physical body is experiencing pain or challenge, for those of you here who have got pain and challenge in your physical body, by the time you're affected on your physical body, you've actually missed 1,000 messages of how the world around you has spoken to you. Okay. And the way the world speaks to us is in the form of conversations, some of the things and the messages that you're hearing today. because there's a whole host of you here, a whole range of you here. Some of you are here for health issues and that kind of physical pain and challenge. And there's some of you, I was reading, when you came into the Facebook group, you're here because you notice there's repeating patterns. You know that there is more for you, there is more potential for you to actually step into. Okay. And this can be a little bit confronting to hear that to say you've missed it. It's never too late, but as I've healed through my journey of pain, the way the world speaks to me, my animals, the conversations that I'm privy to, I see those patterns. And I see that those are messages before I have to stop and learn a painful lesson. Like, why is it that it has to get so painful? All right, we can move when we're actually experiencing life in a good way, and we don't have to feel guilty about it. And so it's in the experience of it that I'm having little messages land. And I'm so curious over the next 3 days and today, what is going to land for me? Like, can I be present enough? Because I'm in this beautiful dome that my husband built. It's called a Zonahedron dome. But before this was here, we had a yurt, a canvas yurt. And it just did not sustain the environment here, and it got hit and hammered and damaged by the wind. And I was actually presenting on a summit. I was talking about my journey, and it was in that moment that I had this realization land, because you can't fix a yurt until the weather's calm. And it was just like flapping inside out. And I had this moment of going, oh my gosh, I can see the outside from the inside, and I really don't think I should be able to. And so it was when I realized that the outside world, your external world, is a manifestation of your emotional state. It is speaking to you. It is constantly trying to have you understand and feel what's going on and just communicate on a deeper level. And this is what emotional processing allows you to do: become more attuned, become more sensitive, almost to the point where sometimes, like, the things that you're experiencing sound a little bit crazy. Okay. So if you have got these physical challenges in your health, in your body, I want you to know that you can change this. All right. So I went through my own health crisis, and it presented in skin issues. So mainly cystic acne, once what I called random hives and rashes. I was getting sick all of the time, and I had physical pain, which is quite unusual for me. And I look back and I wonder, oh my gosh, why did it have to get so bad before I listened? Because before my health crisis, I had a number of years of random rashes and hives. Okay. Now, I never want to go back to how severe that was. It was a couple of years of a journey. And I know some of you have been on a decades long journey with your health. So I also got autoimmune joint issues. I had bilateral stiffness in both of my ankles. I also had an autoimmune skin condition called lichen sclerosis. That was the moment my body really screamed at me. And in the past, when I was younger, I went on a conventional journey to fix my skin. I went on the Roaccutane, the antibiotics, the creams, all the stuff that really is a short-term fix but creates quite potential long-term damage. Okay. I then went on the natural route, but I also did not have a healthy approach. Okay. I was in very fix-it mentality. I was controlling my diet, what I could and couldn't eat, where I could eat, where I could go, whose places I could eat at. So always taking my own food with me. I went down the acupuncture and the herbal medicine route. I was doing beauty treatments, chemical peels, all sorts. And all of these things worked whilst I was on them, whilst I was doing them. But as soon as I felt better, looked better, and came off it, everything would come back with a vengeance. And so I went down the emotional route with practitioners, but I didn't really trust that they knew what they were doing. I thought I knew better. And my life like this just really was not sustainable. It was costing me thousands of dollars each month in the organic food that I was eating, the certain food I was eating, the herbs, the supplements, and all of the treatments. Now, I was not stressed mentally. I loved my job. I had a great relationship. I loved the patients that I was working with at the time as an osteopath. I loved where I was. So it didn't make sense. I wasn't stressed mentally, but something was just clearly out of alignment in my life. And I went down the pathway of doing my own emotional work. And I say the emotional work helped me clear space. And it cleared enough space for me to get a really powerful message that told me that I could intuitively see the emotions stuck in my clients' bodies in their repeating patterns, that was responsible for their undesirable manifestations, and that I needed to speak the truth to it. And I knew that that was right, but it was very uncomfortable because I realized, just like going on the journey of starting my horse, is that it was going to mean I had to change. I had to change big things like quitting my job, even though it was a great job with great pay and great patience. I went on to have a baby because I didn't want responsibility. Okay. I didn't want responsibility of a business and patience. So I decided to have a baby, and she's my beautiful mirror and biggest teacher. She's 11 now, Violet. I moved countries to follow my vision and desire. I realized I had this vision to set up 2 clinics in New Zealand, and I was in the wrong country. I was in Australia. And we've just passed 10 years where we drained our bank account and just said, we've just got to move. Drained our bank account, moved with a 20-month-old toddler, had no work to go to, no home to go to, and we just hit the ground running when we moved to Wanaka. And the momentum at which things flowed into our life was so damn fast. And I was so glad that I did the emotional work to have the capacity to hold the speed, hold the energy and momentum at which everything was coming my way, and to be so grounded in my values to be able to say yes and no to certain things, even if it was going to make people unhappy. And so I started to wonder, is this possible just for me? But I started to speak the truth to every person who crossed my paths, the people who came to see me as an osteopath, and then they were disappointed when I told them something otherwise that they weren't ready to hear. So I had to handle being misunderstood, but then some people were ready to hear me. And they started to get results when everyone else had given up on them. And it was just absolutely fascinating. They started to resolve their pain because that's what people came to see me for as an osteopath. They started to regain their health. And doctors used to refer to me, practitioners used to refer to me. But the way they refer to me is, we don't know what's going on. Go see Jin. We have no idea what she does. But they were seeing and hearing the results. And people's friends were seeing the change that they were having in their body. Okay. And they were just having a really great, profound experience in the sessions. And practitioners would ask me, can you teach me what you do? And I'm like, I don't even know what I do. Like, I'm just so intuitively led when I'm in the room with someone. Okay. And so over the years, and even with this cycles experience, I am learning in the moment. Okay. Emotional work has given me the capacity to see things in the moment, even with like whoever's presenting in the chat and the messages that you're sharing with me. And I'm going to try and catch as much as I can. There's going to be some that I miss that I'll look at after. Kylie's going to be here supporting you, and I'm going to go back every now and then. Okay. So, what I didn't expect that this emotional journey of emotional processing was going to open up, and why my work has become more difficult to translate in a quick way, is that these people were resolving their pain, they were regaining their health, but then they started talking to me about how their relationships were changing. They were feeling a deeper connection. Some of them were attracting new, ideal, beautiful partners into their life. Others who thought they wanted to separate were building a deeper connection. Some were separating, okay, but for the highest good of all. They were attracting new people into their life, new practitioners to support their healing journey. And when it came to career and money, something that makes me so happy is that people were feeling seen and valued. They were getting their dream jobs, they were getting dream pay. Okay. And it was just like, oh my gosh, is this possible? Yes. And they were going down this pathway, opening up to personal growth and their spiritual connection as well. And so in these sessions, you also hear a little bit about my coaching and my business challenges. My business really is an expression of who I am. I absolutely love it. It's my sole purpose. And I get told, Jin, don't share this big stuff when it comes to manifestation. It's too much. And I'm like, really? So I just keep talking about pain? And I really struggle with that. And I get it because manifesting the good stuff in life is big energy. And when I had my skin issues, all I wanted was clear skin. Okay. So I want you to know that there's just such a journey I can take you on. I can help you resolve your pain. And if you want to just stop there, then that's absolutely fine. But if you decide that once you start to peel away the layers, that there is a more authentic version of yourself that wants to be expressed in the world, that you know that you've got more potential, more purpose to be expressed and shared, that I can help you, I can help facilitate manifesting an incredible life, a life that you desire. But I say to people, just start with processing your emotions, because it doesn't matter if you're already walking the world of pleasure and you want more in your life, I'm still going to bring you back to processing your emotions. And on my journey with coaching, as a bit of an analogy for you, is that it no longer becomes about a strategy. When I was very new into the online space and coaching, it was like strategy, tell me what to do. But now what I've noticed is I can listen to these different strategies, but is it meeting me at the level that I'm at? And I have this thing inside of me where I sometimes resist the coaching, okay? And when I actually test it and give it a go, I'm like, oh, this is what they were talking about. So sometimes I am the person that comes across with like saying it's random, it's just luck. I usually say it in the form of like, oh, I've done that, or I don't want to do that. And I always have to check in, is my resistance because it's resistance and there's growth on the other side, there's beauty on the other side, or is it because this actually feels out of alignment? So, strategy is important for a certain stage and phase. And I'm going to show you a bit of a diagram in a minute to help you identify where you're at in your stage and phase of healing. Strategy is important, but I think some of you are probably recognizing that you've gotten too caught up in strategy, which is very masculine. Okay. I go on a journey of helping people let go of quite a bit of masculine, but not to lose it altogether because the structure is so important, and lean more into the feminine, more of the knowing, more of the trust, more of the belief in self. Okay, but it's just like it's a really fine line, and it really has to meet people at different stages and levels of where they're at on their healing and growth and evolution journey. So it becomes less about strategy. We don't throw it all in the bin, but your strategy gets to evolve. Your strategy gets to be so ridiculously simple and more intuitively led. Okay. So now through this journey, I absolutely honor my past and the gift that it has shown me, all of this pain and challenge. Sometimes it gets a little bit tricky to speak about it because I love speaking about all this manifestation stuff. But through this process, my mind, my heart, my eyes, and my body are just so open to experiencing the present. Okay. And I am so excited of where I'm going to go in the future as well. And I say that pain is the gateway for some people. So, physical pain, pain in repeating challenges, whatever pain might be. Okay. So, pain is what I call the gateway to liberation. It opened a world that I didn't even know existed. I was sharing with someone the other day, it's like, gosh, when I got into the online space, I was like, holy cow, like I had no idea this world existed. Okay. And so I'm here to share with you what is possible, even if you don't feel it's possible. Maybe that's just a narrative that you can try on that's going to feel a little bit uncomfortable is I know this is possible for me. If it's possible for these people, it is possible for me. But then to recognize and take responsibility of what is it that you can change. And maybe it is about having that emotional capacity to be able to embrace that change. Okay. So we don't need to start from a place of pain. We can start from just knowing that there is more. There is more for me. And so I hope my story speaks to you, to those of you who are on a similar journey emotionally and energetically, and who have an ability to see how everything's connected. And for those of you who can't see it, just get curious, like how is it that I can get myself to this place? Okay, let me check in what's been going on in the chat. And Kylie, if you think there's anything specific that I should really speak to right now based on what's come up, because I won't scroll all the way back, then please let me know.
There are so many, and all of you are sharing so openly, and it's so cool. And I couldn't pick just one out. There's just so many. Just go with the last few, and everybody keep sharing because it's such good information what you're sharing with us.
Okay, thanks so much, Kylie, and thanks everyone. Petra, my personal experience has also shown that mood and pain can be linked to the outside world. For example, a recent move to different planetary lines eliminated mysterious pains and improved my mood, reigniting my motivation. Yeah, there's so many elements to my story, Petra. And one of the things was that I learned when I was living in Brisbane, Australia, and we're going to be going through this a little bit more on day two, is really understanding your constitution and how you respond to the world around you. is that I was living in Brisbane, Australia. And for some people, they're like, oh, it's warm, it's like humid there. I love that environment. But what I learned about myself is that that kind of can really aggravate my constitution. I have a threshold of 4 weeks. Okay. And I actually recently tested this because I ran a retreat in Bali. And I've been walking around with this narrative that I have this threshold of 4 weeks where my body then just can't deal. And then it starts to become, I have to be conscious about what I eat, how I move through life. And so that was over a decade ago. And I made the move to New Zealand, completely different environment and climate, and it really serves me. But to ask someone who doesn't have emotional capacity and is in pain to move countries, because I can sometimes see that, is a big ask, right? So we start with emotional processing, then they have capacity to make decisions that don't make sense, like draining your bank account and moving with a 20-month-old toddler with no job and no place to live. That's my story, and I've done this multiple times over. And so I was really curious with all the emotional work I've done and embodied over the years is when I go to Bali, is my skin going to break out after 4 weeks? And um, what's interesting is, sorry, I was there for 3 weeks and then I did come back with like a little fine sort of like acne rash on my back, which is completely cleared now. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I said to Kylie, I want to go back to Bali for 3 months next year, run another retreat, maybe do some private work. And she goes, how are you going to go for 3 months? And I said, well, going over for 3 months, I am going to probably eat differently, like not just get so excited and indulge and gorge on like all the amazing food there. So the length of time that you're somewhere or the places you choose to be, and, on reflection, how do I want to interact with it? We get to make those choices. Now, that's the thing is like, I don't think I could live in that environment long term. And so I do look at the environment, I look at the people around me and how they influence me. So for sure, like on a deeper level, I believe that geographical location, it's not that you're just born in a place and you should be able to adapt to it. Sometimes you actually got to move away from it. And that can feel really huge for people. Okay. Um, yeah, fear, life challenges, money drain, everything destabilize. It's part of the risk for sure. Thank you, Nicole. I so agree. Mary, I've lived in Oregon for 20 plus years, but I've never felt grounded and stable here. It's beautiful, but my heart has never been here. And some people might go, oh my gosh, you're crazy. I dream of living in Oregon. That's for them. And for you, you're like, right. And, so there is someone on this call that came to one of my free things. Are you still here? I won't mention your name, but she quit her job. Oh, you are. You are here. So after one of my free masterclasses, it's called the Missing Link Masterclass, she messaged me. Can I mention your name? Carlene. It's Carlene who's on the call here, right? So there are people who are manifesting some pretty cool stuff. I actually met Carlene because I was trying to get a grapple on my personal finances. I have someone do my bookkeeping for my business, but I was like, I don't know, like all this money just keeps on coming in and I just keep on blowing it all and I have no intention around it. So I found Carlene randomly through a whole bunch of processes. She's been helping me with my finances and she enters my world. She comes to she reads my book, she comes to the Missing Link Masterclass, and then when I'm doing like one of my finance coaching sessions with her, she says, I quit my job. I was like, oh my God, are you serious? So I say to people, look, profound things can happen, and you've just taken off with the financial coaching. You've just been in this transition for the last couple of weeks. You've just been to Fiji. It's all so cool. Now, there are some people that have the capacity to be able to hold this transition. And I say to some people, it's really valuable to have support because what you're stepping into, there are just some unknown things that you've got to have the capacity to handle the challenges, to be able to pivot on a dime. Okay. All right. Mm. And look, I am into astrology as well, but I believe in creating emotional capacity to receive all of these energies that are around. It's funny because it's Mercury retrograde, and I usually don't like make excuses for Mercury retrograde, but Kylie and I have been feeling all sorts of tech stuff. So my Facebook ads, I got shut down for a little bit. It seems to always happen around this time when I'm putting something like the cycles out. I lost my complete email list, but I've got you all back. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And it's cost me time and it's cost me money. And you got to be able to deal with that and still show up in life as well. Okay. So whether you're working with pain or whether you're working with manifestation, it is all about the intention and energy that you are approaching things with. Okay. So I want to share with you the three stages of healing. It's a little diagram that can help some of you anchor in what I'm speaking. So everyone's got these different learning styles, right? Now, this is actually in chapter 3 of my book. I wrote a book last year called Healing Beyond the Diagnosis, and everyone can download and read or listen to chapter 3 for free. So I'll get Kylie to pop that link into the chat. And on the Facebook group, there is a resources page, and at whatever level you're at, you can just enter at different points. Okay, so there's some free things here, and then there are some paid things as well. Now, I'm going to just spin this around a little bit differently from what's in the book. But that chapter is all about embracing conventional, embracing alternative, embracing energetics, but never giving your power away. And it comes back to have the emotional capacity to be able to step into these different worlds depending on what stage and phase of healing you're at. Okay. So there is no diagram in the book. This has only just landed for me a couple of days ago. So stage 1 is when you're going to seek safety. And I say that when you're at stage 1 down here, usually pain and challenge is high, fear might be high. So what do? We seek safety and we seek stability. And so this might be you getting all these treatments, seeing all these practitioners, spending all of this time, spending all of this money, and at the same time, it can become a little bit overwhelming. So when people are in stage 1 seeking safety, depending on their level of pain and when I meet them at, I say the focus is stabilization. And this might mean that you embrace conventional medicine, even though you thought you might not ever go down that pathway. It might mean that you take the painkiller, the antidepressants. It might mean that on the alternative level, you're taking the herbs, you're taking the supplements to remove the pain. Because I can't actually work very well with people when they are in stage 1 of high pain, high fear, because emotions do not become your priority to process. Okay. Your priority is to survive and to get out of pain, to maybe still work a job and create money and all the modern, all the modern stuff in life. So I say take the pain away in whatever way you can, but look at it as a short-term fix, a band-aid that is going to fall off one day, and honor the commitment to do the deeper work when that pain has been removed or it's been diminished. Okay, which is also why I want to prevent people and hopefully speak to some of you before you get to that level of pain. So stage 1 is seeking safety, pain is high, fear is high, and this is where it's like you will look for external validation. You will just like someone rescue me, tell me what to do, and I'll do it. But we obviously want to move out of here because, as I said, sometimes this is where you realize there's a lot of strategy here and you get caught up in seeking safety and seeking strategy and doing too much and overwhelming yourself with appointments, spending lots of money, lots of rigid self-care. Okay. So then we want to move into stage 2 is where you start to build self-trust. You build more intuition and have an ability to have a clearer mind to make grounded decisions. Now, a lot of people in my space, they desire to be able to trust their intuition, to listen, to honor it, okay, to move through life intuitively. And so during this stage, usually what happens is that you're not just seeking out, tell me what to do. You're starting to attract different practitioners that feel really aligned. Sometimes it can feel like magic that these people are presenting to you in your life. And they are able to say different things to you, like you could try this, you could try that. But you have a level of discernment. You're able to tune in and you're able to hear them and yourself on a deeper level. So you actually start not just saying yes to everything, I'll give this a go. You start to say, okay, this is what feels right for me. You start to understand yourself on a deeper level. Okay. And you might say, that doesn't feel right for me right now. So, stage 2, your focus is participation. Okay. Down here, you're looking for someone to rescue you. And here, you are participating in your own rescue. You are able to have more engaging conversations with a practitioner rather than them just talking to you, or a coach, rather than them just talking at you, they're talking with you. Okay. You're able to present your ideas. You don't necessarily have to agree with one another, but you're building a healthy relationship with them. Okay. This is a great place to be, and it's also a place to evolve from. So, stage three is this inner knowing where you really just believe, you know, you trust, you're very intuitively led. Okay. And I say that when you tap into this level of knowing and intuition, no one can externally validate you. You might try it, but then you will notice that people will project their fears, they will project all the things that can go wrong, which can sometimes be useful to contemplate, but don't let it sway you. So when you reach this level of inner knowing, this intuition, I say that your decisions don't make logical sense to others. And that's where you have got to trust yourself on the journey. It is going from I know to I'm stepping into the unknown. I am stepping into the unseen. So the focus here is actually expansion. So if we talk about this in the context of healing, it's that your health starts to transform and you start to expand into other facets of your life, like your relationships, your career, your money, your social structure, your personal development, your spiritual connection. Okay. You start here to be able to see beyond just your internal state. Okay. You're able to see and feel people on a deeper level, become more attuned to understanding energy and what it is presenting to you. Now, at this stage, it doesn't mean that you just go out on your own. Okay, I really value still having support, but the level of support you're looking for is different. It's people who are there to support you no matter what your crazy, illogical, intuitive decisions are. It is people who are maybe a few steps ahead of you who are showing you still what is possible for you to be able to step into. Okay. So some people think that, oh, when I'm here, like I won't need anyone else. But actually, that's an identity that holds you back, that I can just do this on my own. All right. So I've always got a group. I've always got either one-to-one coaching or some form of a group that I am able to, celebrate with and also speak about the challenges. And so when you move through these stages of healing, fear, urgency, external validation, reactivity, and confusion go down. So notice if you have these feelings now and you're maybe here, that you've got the fear, the urgency, you're just looking for external advice, you're reactive, you're confused. As you move through these stages and phases of healing, all of this starts to go down. And on the other side is that your self-trust starts to build, your intuition starts to become stronger, your level of discernment and ability to make decisions on certain things starts to shine through. You have more capacity and you start to have more freedom. And that's really what I see a lot of people are after, okay, is more capacity, more freedom. Down here, you can be feeling a little bit lost and stuck because you feel like you're seeing everyone out there, conventional, alternative, energetic, even doing some emotional work. You're feeling stuck because your symptoms, your pain, your repeating challenges in life, and those patterns, they're just plateauing and you're not getting that solution. All right. And you might be feeling overwhelmed down here, as I said, because you're just doing too much. You're too stuck in strategy. And ultimately, people want some material things in their life. And I say, great, I'm all for it. Get the house, get the car, have the relationship. Even the health, I would say, is a material thing. Because deeper down inside, what we're really after, why we go on this journey, is that we're after a feeling. And it's the feeling of freedom, inner peace, happiness, joy, and confidence. And intuition. Intuition is a big one. Okay. So, where is it? Let me know in the chat. Where do you feel you are? Okay, stage one, two, or three. And the other thing is that even for myself, if I use a business coaching analogy, like you can apply this to every facet of life as well. It's not just health, is that I sometimes go back to stage one. When I had this dream of these two clinics, when I bought the second clinic, I was like, oh, I had no idea that this is what it was going to be like. I had no idea what to do. And I found an amazing business coach. And I was like, just Jack, Peter, tell me what to do. I will do it, anything you tell me what to do, but I will take responsibility for what I choose not to do. So As I move through life, I still come back to stage one here. All right. So where are you at? One, two, three. Petra, transitioning from two to three, closer to three. Amazing. Loosed. I'm at stage two, but have been in stage three in my own practice as a health practitioner. Oh, that's so cool. Right. So, as a health practitioner, you sound like you're quite experienced. And so you've tapped into that level three. And then there's going to be new things that come into your life that put you back into one and then move into two. Like, as you have the ability to process your emotions and increase your capacity, you move through this very, very quickly. Okay. It doesn't take long at all. Okay. I love that. Vicky, stage two with health, amazing physio, opened my eyes to emotions, and I'm glad I have found you for the next part of my journey. I love that. Yes. So you start attracting people on your journey, and I love how you've come into my world, Vicky. It's like, I don't know how, but you're here. It's so cool. And Terry, two and three, but definitely have been more in three lately. Amazing. Now, I'm going to unpack this bit a little bit later as well. Okay, so that is in chapter three of my book, but it's presented very much in a health way. But when you come into my world, I can apply things to many different facets of life, and some of you might have individual questions, so that I can speak to that. All right. What else have I got to share with you? How are you guys going? Thanks for having your videos on. Cool. You're all good? Keep going. Excellent. Okay. So whenever I am told to do something in the coaching world back then, and in the coaching that I have right now, I often will resist the strategy. Okay. And I will be the person, as I said, that says, I've done it. And I've just been presented with this phrase a little bit like random and lucky, and I've done it. And I'm like, oh, I've got another level of realization here. And so I often back it up with, like, I know I say I've done it, but keep on coaching me. Like, I am listening, even though it sounds like I'm not. Because I know that when someone says to me, I've done it, I just zip it. I'm like, okay, you've done it. So the question I ask myself is, am I resisting this because there is growth on the other side, as I said earlier, or is it because it's actually out of alignment? And sometimes we can't find that out until we actually go and do the thing. Sometimes we don't know how to trust our intuition until we realize that we didn't trust our intuition. So it's always this power of reflection. So there are some things where I'm like, oh, I so don't want to do that. It doesn't feel in alignment. But then I give it a go. And then I start to see what I wasn't able to see. I start to realize why that coach has told me to do what I didn't want to do. Okay. And it gets to this point when you try new things, they become incredibly easy. Okay, that's the experience. Sometimes they become boring. Sometimes they become safe. Sometimes they become comfortable. But that's what you want to do is you want to get to the point where things are easy, simple, boring, safe, and comfortable, because when you feel all these things, then you're ready to explore. The next stage and phase is going to reveal itself for you to step into. Okay? So the words that I want you to be conscious of is, am I saying it's random? Am I saying it's lucky? Am I someone who says, I've done that? Because what I've been sharing with people who have said, I've done that is, how many times have you done it? Okay. Have you actually embodied it? Have you been able to refine it? So, me talking about my horse jumping story, my business, I've got some stories about makeup later. It's like you can just refine things. You can refine things, and it's just so magical, the journey. Okay. And I love to find peace in this is that if you are someone who's got pain and challenge, but you know you have desires, you know there's more for you to tap into with purpose and potential and possibility, is that the universe is testing if you can actually hold more. So I often teach that success energy is big energy. Like my coach is like, Jen, you need to stop sharing about these big life transformations, people like letting go of their relationships and selling their house and quitting their job. Because it's big. And I'm like, yeah, it's big. The moves you've got to make are big, but you have capacity to hold it. And so it is not unusual that when you actually start to have a purpose, when you start to have a desire, that the universe is going to present you with a challenge to go, right, Can you actually handle this challenge? Because if you can, then I'm going to give you more of the success. And this is where I say it is just so experiential, the learning. So, manifestation of desires requires identity work and it requires a shift. Okay. And I won't lie that it takes work. I'd rather you work this out in a free space than invest your money and then get disappointed. Okay. It is all about the energy and intention behind it. So think about the energy and intention you have around any treatments, any external things you're doing right now. And are you coming from a sneaky fix it mentality? Because when you go to step into manifestation of the good stuff and your desires, if that identity comes with you and that way of being, you're going to push the manifestation of the good stuff away, and more challenges are going to come your way until you start to shift your energy and your intention about it. Now, as you expand and have a vision, you will realize how much is incongruent in your current life, that it just doesn't match the life that you envision. And you realize how much there is to change. And again, I started with the story of starting my horse, right? But this applies to life, is that when you have a vision, you realize how much needs to change to actually live that out. And that can be incredibly uncomfortable. I love to help people get comfortable with discomfort. So growth requires you to let go of things in life. And those things were once comfortable, even though you now realize that they're out of alignment. Okay. And some things might be dropping in for you in this experience. Hence, I do actually have a process that I help people process emotions with, but it's not for the cycles, right? Allow yourself through this experience to be able to process, for things to be able to land. Okay. So growth requires you to let go of things. That might be people, that might be jobs, that might be your intimate relationship. That's not what I'm recommending for you today, right? Okay. So there's only certain people that can make those moves. And I really value support when you're on this journey because there is a lot of unknown that you're going to step into. The decisions that you're required to make and let go of involves people and their opinions, and it opens you up to potential criticism and judgment and people questioning why you're doing what you're doing. If you don't have capacity and a level of self-trust and inner knowing and intuitive drive, it's a bit of an oxymoron, intuition and drive, but if you don't have that, when someone projects onto you, it can wobble you. And then you like, I can't handle this. And then you back out. Okay, it requires you to be the person to make decisions that you've never had to make before, which is why I find it's helpful to be around people who have maybe made those decisions and tell you it's 100% worth it. And I'll be there to support you. I'll walk through fire with you. And it really requires you to let go of all you know and step into everything that you don't know. Okay, that's why you've got to have capacity. And expansion can be a real threat to your current state of being. And this is another realization that's landed for me is that it can make or break relationships. And so some practical examples of this is a house. Okay. I actually didn't really want to own our own house or property because I saw the stress that my patients as an osteopath went through, their physical body, the separation, like the stories that you hear of like, oh my God, I almost got divorced when we like built our own house. Okay. A house is a great analogy, but you know why it's also a great analogy? Because how many people actually manage to keep in a budget of a house, right? And they work it out, or they don't, or things start to fall away, or they become incredibly stressed. Like I always wanted to have the journey of building something and really enjoying and loving it. And it was through those painful experiences that people were having, I was like, I want to do this a different way. What is required? There's a lot of work and intention behind it. Now, this is the thing is people often step into manifesting pretty cool stuff, but they're like, why didn't anyone tell me this? And having your dream home or having a home is pretty incredible. But do we go in and say, you're probably going to blow your budget? You're going to have challenges that you need to deal with that you're not aware. Like we already put them off that journey, which is again why you have to have capacity to just handle it when it comes up. You've got to be able to find the money. You've got to be able to be resourceful. Sometimes you've got to be able to ask for support. So as a house is one analogy. Then we live on a lifestyle property. We live on a rural property. I've been having conversations with Carlene about this because she also lives on a rural property. Now, people talk about homesteading life and like having the dream and the chickens and the animals and the horses. It takes a different level of work. Now, I'm happy to have the conversation with someone when they say, what's it like? Be curious, ask the question, what's it like having a lifestyle property? It's amazing. And there are challenges that you're presented with in the moment that you have got to be able to find a way. But I've also discovered how resourceful I can be. Like, I'm so satisfied that I know how to hitch a trailer. I'm so satisfied that I know how to like hook up the water lines and understand all of that. So I'm opening myself to new experiences, but I have seen people expand into these bigger parcels of land and their relationship has broken down because it hasn't had the foundation to be able to hold it. Okay. And sometimes you can do the work, like if you catch it early enough to not repeat this pattern again. Adding to a family, having a baby, a second baby, a third, a fourth, a fifth baby, it adds a positive stress for some and a negative stress for others that can make or break a relationship. And I have seen people go into business expansion where they're like, right, I want to step out and I want to do my own thing. And the work and sometimes the temporary hustle that's required can make or break a relationship. And even personal development, it is so classic that one partner goes on the personal development journey and then all of a sudden the other one feels like they're getting left behind. No one's ever left behind. You can decide to catch up, right? You can be an inspiration. And then they go their separate paths. Now, my aim is that I meet a lot of people who say, I want out of this relationship or I want to make this relationship work. I just say, let's just start with your emotions and we will see what happens because I know that this has every potential to open up different opportunities in your relationships, for example, that facet of life. And I'm going off on a tangent. I'm going to I'm going to stay with this. So I don't want to make it sound like don't do it, but there is a different level of challenge to hold. And this is why I say to some people, and I'll be honest, it's like I don't think you're ready. Okay, but you can become ready. You can choose that to trigger you, or you can decide, okay, I'm going to become more ready, but the truth is you'll never be ready, right? I don't know what is going to come on the other side, but what I know is that I can support you with whatever comes up. Okay. So that's why having a solid foundation in emotions is and in able to work with your emotions and process them is so essential because when you start to step into the unknown and manifesting a life you desire, it is experiential. You have got to work it out in the moment. So this is not about just preparing yourself. And this is not about consuming knowledge. Okay. People are so knowledgeable about emotions nowadays that it keeps them in their head. So if you came here to consume knowledge, you're going to be disappointed. And if I've caught you before you've dropped off, then I want you to stay curious. Let your body hear what your mind can't comprehend because at some point you're going to have to like let go of all of this that's potentially holding you back. I find people are so good at using some terminology that I have no idea about. Or as a previous practitioner, I'm like, I'm pretty sure only practitioners are meant to know know these kinds of words. Like we become so knowledge and we find safety in knowledge, but it becomes the thing that can hold us back from making the moves in life that's actually going to create change. Okay. So we think that knowledge is going to help us know that this is going to work out exactly X, Y, and Z. Okay, but part of the fun is navigating the unexpected and having the resourcefulness to work it out to be able to find your way. Okay. And I've got Kylie's story coming up soon. As I've shared, it's like an incredible story of health transformation and life transformation. So make sure you stick around for that. And as I've shared, it's like in the moment, as I am sharing, as I'm speaking right now, I am having patterns and realizations land in the moment. Okay. So, how do we hold expansion? How do we manifest a life that we desire, not just pain and challenges? Is we build a solid foundation in emotions and we create capacity, we create space. And through the repetition of all of these patterns and cycles and creating new patterns that scare the crap out of you, you will start to become more confident that you can interpret what this pain, this challenge, this repeating pattern is trying to tell you what the message is. Okay. So there is a bit of a dark side to manifestation work. And this belief that people have that if I'm manifesting a good life, that it's just going to be easy and it's just going to flow. And again, this belief is going to hold you back. You're going to get a rude shock. Okay. So I want to paint this picture now for you to work out, are you really ready to go on this journey? Or would you rather stay where you're at and just decide to be happy with where you're at? Okay. When you start to manifest, it is full of challenges, but you can change your perspective. You can see it from a different lens and see these as beautiful challenges and messages. When you go on this manifestation pathway and you start to create more in your life, you are going to step into power and you are going to have more responsibility. I didn't want responsibility of a team and a business and patience, so I decided to have a baby. I realized that that was the step that had to happen before I had this business, okay? So we shy away from responsibility, but the best people to work with are the ones that are able to take responsibility for their actions. Okay. So this has really come out of some repeating patterns and challenges that have happened for me that have really had me questioning, why am I doing this work? But I could feel in my body that I wasn't wavering. I still slept well. And the gift of having these challenges present one after another, after another, after another, after another, is I'm like, there is something in this. Okay. And I got excited because I'm like, oh, I think my work is going to the next level with this. So emotional work helps me see the gift in the challenge sooner rather than later. It helps me move through stage one very quickly. Okay. It helps me move me out of pain and fear very quickly. So, what I see is that people can be right on the cusp of a breakthrough. They're about to receive everything they desire, all of this success, all of this big energy. They're right on the cusp of a breakthrough and they're about to pull the pin. Okay. Or some of you might relate that you have already created a lot of success in your life and then you go to pull out because you're like, I've already got all of this. Like, I'm already lucky. I'm just going to dismiss this. Why do I need more? Okay. So then they reach this point of questioning, why am I doing all of this personal growth work? And they want to just throw it all in the bin. So this is where I said, check in if you are in that, if you were working on a health journey or a business journey and you're looking for a lot of external validation, you're looking for strategy, you're just starting, you're wanting someone to tell you what to do. Okay. You're coming from that fix it mentality. So that people can go from questioning all the time and money that they've spent on these treatments, which have all served a purpose because it's brought you here. But they start to question the time and money that they've spent on those treatments, and then they just start to project that into the personal growth journey. They're like, oh my gosh, I've spent so much in coaching, I've invested so much on this personal growth journey, and they start to question where all that money and time has gone. Do you get what I'm saying here? Okay. So the intention and energy in which you approach healing, if you've got a physical issue, you got to be mindful about that intention and energy coming into the manifestation space because it's not going to serve you if you try and fix things. You'll have expectation and you'll have disappointment. At the same time, look at how you look at your past because a lot of people that I work with, they have spent tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years on their health and healing journey. And they start to then look at their past very negatively. But it's all a beautiful journey that's landed you here. But the danger is that you then start to project that pain in personal growth, which is like one of the most incredible journeys to go on. You start to question, where is my time and money gone? Because I love masculine structure. Masculine structure keeps on getting revealed to me more and more as I go on this journey. And it's laws of nature. It is the laws of the universe is that we have masculine structure to allow the feminine to flow. And so, as I said earlier, a lot of the work that I do is trying to help people remove quite a bit of the masculine structure, but not all of it because it's essential. But keep it so, so simple and bring in more space, bring in more ability to surrender to a process, to let go, to do nothing. People desire freedom, they desire more space. But I find why support is so valuable is that people feel deeply uncomfortable when they all of a sudden attract this into their life. Okay, guilt comes in, all sorts of new emotions for them to sit with. And so I find that some people have this misunderstanding. Like, if you keep on telling me I've got to let go, I've got to surrender, they go, okay, well, I can just do this on my own. I can do nothing on my own. I can just surrender. I can let all of this go. But actually, when they say that, they're at risk of going into the unhealthy feminine. So the universe rewards action. You still have to have action. You've still got to have structure. You've just got to have strategy that is really, really simple for things to be able to flow. Okay. And so it's a bit of a curly one, so I hope you're still with me on this, is people often come into emotional work scared to start. All right. This is very familiar to me. I'm just too scared. I don't know what I'm going to find out. And the thing that was meant to free them, which often does, the emotional work then becomes the thing that holds people back. So I say two mistakes people make is one, they don't get started with emotional work. The second mistake is they stay stuck in emotional work. Okay. Emotional work then becomes the strategy and it becomes the place to stay safe in and to hide. Okay. So, if you've been on a nervous system regulation journey, somatic experiencing, like I don't use these words, ask yourself how long have you been in that and is your external life changing? Okay. And people start to use time as an excuse. We're going to talk about relationship to time and money in day 3. Okay. They start to hide in the emotional work. I've just got to do more. And then, okay. So when people are not getting the results that they desire, they start to project their pain. They start to say, why am I doing this professional development, this personal development? It's not leading me anywhere. Nothing's changing. Okay. They start to project onto me, which is what I'm trying to prevent here. They start to project onto me. I can handle it, right? I am able to discern, is this mine or is this theirs? Okay. I will take responsibility if I'm leading people down the wrong path. But they start to project their pain sometimes onto me, or they project their pain outside of themselves. It's society, it's the government, it's my friends, it's the people around me. And you start to externalize the situation and remove the responsibility from yourself when you are the only one that can create change. Okay. So in these situations that I find myself in sometimes, I love them and I hope the person stays plugged in, is that my coaching doesn't change because I keep it so simple. There is a phase where you work on your emotions, but emotions were always designed and only ever designed, emotional work was designed to help you create capacity to trust yourself, to make decisions that you never have before, and to step into the unknown. So, why people stay stuck, and I usually call them out on this, is that you're not making a decision. You're not making a decision that creates change. Now, the intention and energy that you put behind that decision is very important. Okay. It's got to be driven by desire. It's got to be driven by a purpose bigger than you so that you can handle the criticism, the judgment, the what ifs, the fears, and everything that is going to come up with that. Okay. So it gets very boring for the person receiving coaching because they're just stuck in the same cycle and they're seeking safety in what else can I process? So I have this lesson that I recorded many, many years ago, and I present this to people, and it says, I've done all the releases, I've processed my emotions, and things still aren't changing. And so there comes a point where the emotions, because you've processed them, no longer become the excuse as to why you don't have the life that you have. The responsibility is on you to make decisions to create that change. Okay, does this make sense? But sometimes it is pretty magical in my world that people process their emotions and stuff flows to them. But there is another level where it requires action. Universe rewards action. It rewards decisiveness. Okay. And some people have just never been decisive in their life. And I say that if you don't make decisions, your body is going to make decisions for you. If you don't make decisions, then people around you are going to make decisions for you. And then reflect, how does that actually feel? Sometimes it was an intuition speaking to you. Okay. So a lot of the time, you know what it is, the moves you got to make, but that's why it's valuable having support. But ultimately, you are the one that has to make the move. You are the one that's going to have to take responsibility for what comes up. But I hope you have capacity to deal with the challenges and the success that is on the other side. Okay. And that's why it's better if you have support in my mind. So at this stage, still, I don't like to work in the manifestation, vision, desire space with people unless I know they know how to process their emotions. Because in in the very early part of this, I said, access your past to access your future. If you go straight into the manifestation space, I'm sure at some point, if you've reached a block, if you have sabotaged something and you've asked for coaching, you get told to go back into your past because there is something that is holding you back there. But at some point, it's emotions, and at another point, it's an identity shift that's required to create. Okay. And this foundation is so simple. And I have found myself recently wanting to skip the foundations. Like, give me the good manifestation stuff. I don't want to go into that mess. I want to avoid it. And so here are some of my like stupidly simple stories. Makeup. Okay. So I love watching makeup stuff on social media. I love what people are able to create. And, if you're taking the thread from today, I'm sure their experience, I'm sure they've practiced. And some people they show us where were they 10 years ago versus where they are now. My daughter loves wearing makeup or playing with makeup as well. And I'm like, all good. And I realized that makeup is like manifesting, okay? We can enhance our features, we can look better, and sometimes we can go over the top and not look so good with the makeup that we apply, right? So, manifesting the good life is about bringing more stuff into your life. And I love that. And some people think it's materialistic, some people will think it's greedy. When does it stop? But really, I say that emotional work tests how you move through life when you don't have the things. Okay. So, how are you if you don't have access to the makeup? How are you if you lose your luggage? How are you if your daughter breaks something, right? Okay. Just bringing it back down to something really simple. So I said to Kylie, I'm not wearing makeup today. And she said, well, I'm not either because I don't even know where my freaking makeup is. And people will not leave the house without makeup on. Or sometimes it's shocking when you meet someone and you're like, oh my gosh, you look so different. So, can we use stepping into the manifestation space to enhance who we are, right? And if you were to lose all of the things, if I was to lose this property, if I was to lose my relationship, anyone in my family, lose my animals, my horses, my dogs, my cat, my fish, if I was to lose them, can I still present myself as this person? Can I navigate that level of challenge? And so I think makeup is a really great analogy. And I met this woman at the airport in Bali and she offered to do a makeup tutorial. And so I thought this would be something cool to do with Violet. She lost her patience after about half an hour. And I just wanted to skip to learning how to do smoky eye makeup. And I could blame it on being Asian. Like I tried to do it and I'm like, I've got hooded eyelids, I've got no eyelids. Like I just can't do smoky eyes. And there's all these tutorials on Instagram and I still can't get it. And when Christine said, okay, we'll do two tutorials, she said, the first one's going to be on skincare and prep. And then the second one's going to be on makeup. And I'm like, no, I just want the makeup. Like me having a history of skin issues and feeling like I knew everything about skin, but now there's just so much cool stuff out there that I don't know. I just wash my face with water and I put oil on my face and maybe some sunscreen. I like to keep it really simple after being unhealthy with all the products I used to buy. So I was like, no, I don't want the skincare. She gets on the call and she starts taking me through skincare. And I am so frustrated because I'm like, Christine, I just want to learn how to do smoky eyes. Violet's here. Her attention span's a little bit short for an 11-year-old. Take me to the good stuff. And she still took me through it. And I was like, okay, can you go through it quickly? I'm resisting this, but I'm listening. Now, I've since gone and bought the primer and all these things because I was like, well, what if? What if it could look better? Because everything starts with a good foundation. Okay. The skin prep makes your makeup look better, last longer. And it was quite funny because then she started to teach us how to do all this stuff. And Violet has all these makeup brushes. And I was like, oh, I was just trying to do everything with one brush. And she's like, no, you need to use this one. This is how you apply it. Try it a little bit more. And I was like, this is completely different to how I thought it was meant to be done. And so I love getting to play with it. And I think, okay, if Violet loves makeup this much, what if she could actually be really good and she could be one of those people that get flown around the world to do people's makeup because of repetition, because of experience of getting it wrong sometimes. Okay. So as a parent, I'm just trying to help her find her passion, even if it doesn't make sense. Okay. So emotional work, as I said, like the makeup analogy, is how do you move through life if you don't have the stuff? How is it that can I show up with no makeup today? And I feel like the emotional work has helped my skin, it's helped the way I look. And if I choose to enhance things, I can do it with makeup. But it never changes who I am on the inside. Okay. I say to people, who are you going to be if, you have an accident, which wouldn't be random, and it disfigures your face, okay? How is it that you are able to still be seen by your energy and who you are deep down inside, not just how you look externally? Because once upon a time, all I wanted to manifest was clear skin, didn't care about the pain that people couldn't see, right? Okay, jumping. I've talked about my horse, is that I've been learning to jump. Now, at some point, my friend, okay, I love my friend because she gave me the quick hit. She's like, cool, we're gonna jump, we're gonna give you the quick hit, the satisfaction. I absolutely loved it. So I can jump small jumps. I'm quite comfortable at 60 centimeters, getting more comfortable, right? But I can do well at smaller heights. My horse can probably support and compensate me, but things will fall apart when I want to go bigger. Okay, so I did another lesson with another lady and I was so bored. She had me just doing flat work. I'm like, we want to jump the jumps. Like, that's what we want to get confident with. But she's like, but if you get these basics, then you'll be able to jump the jumps. Then you'll be able to jump higher. So I catch myself. Like, I won't take people into the vision and manifestation spaces of a life that is incredible until I know someone's got the foundation of emotions. Yet I still catch myself in other areas of life, like makeup, like the horses, trying to speed up the timeline, but actually create holes in my foundation. And so the one that most of you would probably understand more is the house. Okay. So before a house even goes up, the process behind buying the land, surveying it, putting the services in, um, the foundation, that is the bit that takes the longest. There is so much unseen for such a long time. Okay. And that costs time and that costs money. Now, when the walls of the house go up and roof and everything, that's pretty quick. That's usually like minimum 3 months, sometimes 6 months. And everyone's like, whoa, where did that house come from? There's been all of this unseen work in the background. Now, if you try and rush the process, because sometimes people use time as an excuse, and I believe that you can collapse time and you can speed things up. But if you have this real masculine push energy, like, I need to be in this house by this time, and you're not willing to deal with all the challenges or really listen to what's going on, then sometimes a certain builder that's a match to your energy can knock a house up pretty quickly. But then how long is that going to last? And some of you might be living in houses that require a lot of maintenance, that seem to have all of these random problems. But ask yourself, what is the foundation that it was built on? What is the energy of the person that built this home before me? Did they try and rush this? And that energy is still in this home. Does this make sense? Is that you could make it look amazing, but how long is it going to last? Because I tell you the story with the yurt, we moved onto this property before we really had a proper place to live. We did a renovation on a hay barn. There was already a place to live, but it wasn't to the standard that we wanted. There was rats and there were mice in the walls. So we're like, let's take it all down and start again. And I was like, holy cow, this is a lot to manage renting a place and a mortgage on a new place. So I rushed the process of the yurt. Now, I am not blaming the person for the yurt. It was a really interesting journey, and I'm not going to talk about it in depth here. But my responsibility is like, I need this yurt up. I need an environment that I can work in so I can continue, which is why I stayed in the rental because I wanted an office space. And we got this yurt up, and it was an expensive lesson because it did not sustain this environment. We didn't do the research. We had the door like into the wind. So one of the times the yurt got damaged, we came home, the door had blown open, and just like a balloon, all the wind had come up and destabilized it. So I rushed the process. There's probably some other elements in there as well, but in the end, that yurt, we only had it for 2 months. Okay. It wasn't built on a solid foundation. It didn't have good energy in it. I rushed it and it didn't last. And so it took time, but now we've built this and hopefully it lasts. My husband built it. We'll find out. So Yeah, take your time building the foundation. Do the unseen work. Do the messy work. Anyone who's built a house or been through that process, there's a lot of unexpected challenges. But if you don't build that foundation, it ends up costing you more time and more money. Okay. Even now, I'm still rushing my husband to go, why don't you just build a composting toilet? But long term, it would be better for us to take the time to do it properly. Okay. So, um, I think people also get caught up in the external validation of if I'm going to take this journey, if I'm going to spend this money, I want to see the results and I want other people to see the results. I really want you to come back to doing it for yourself. Okay. Now, everything comes back to processing your emotions to build something that lasts. It is not a quick fix. And I don't make it easy for people to step into my world. You need to have some form of capacity to sit through something like this or watch a replay, because at some point, and with the level of experience that I've had with people and the time that I've had with people, I see when it falls apart. And it can be devastating when you have invested quite a bit of your time and money for that to actually happen. And that's what I want to prevent for you. So I won't lie, it takes work, but hopefully it's more fun work because it's actually aligned with your purpose and not just for the ego. Now, I don't use fancy words, I keep things really simple. So I don't use words like nervous system regulation. I don't use words like somatic experiencing. I don't use words like vagal toning, okay? Because ultimately, this work addresses all of that without having to get caught up in complex, fancy names. Because usually, what happens is someone talks about that as the solution, and then you go into your mind, you go and research it, you go and consume yourself with knowledge, and you actually start to clog up space when we're trying to create space to be able to just tap into yourself. So, I find it really interesting, and this is where I say people come into my world so knowledgeable, and I'm like, we've just got to let all that go because it comes back to something so simple that's so innate to ourselves, which is just the ability to process emotions. And yes, so many people are scared to go on this journey, but then I think, oh my gosh, what if you find the most amazing treasure? I see so much potential, and people get triggered by the potential that I see in them. Okay. And a lot of the time, the stories that I'm sharing on my podcast, on social media, and there's a lot of stories that I don't share, it's you're seeing the end result. Okay. You're seeing the unseen work over the years. But what's even better, apart from the end result, is the journey that you go on, the challenges that you see people overcome that inspires you, and the success and the ability to celebrate. And so pain has been beautiful because it has shown me the power of processing your emotions, and it opened me into a world that I didn't even know possible. Okay. There is nothing new, bright, or shiny. I think humans, we like to look for things that are complex. We're very wired in the masculine, a lot of us, to do the work and always be stuck in the work. And then we feel destabilized when we're not learning something, integrating something, or consuming something. Is like there is so much gift in the doing nothing, but there is a nuance to it depending on what stage you're in. Okay. So, what else? What else? What else do I want to share with you? I think that's it for my sharing. This has gone on longer than I thought, but thank you for sticking around. I've got a real life story here, Kylie, to share with you. But just let me take a moment and see what has come up in the chat, and then we're going to move into live coaching. This could be one of those sessions that goes for 4 hours. Let's see. Um, okay, let's see what has come up. Okay, Luce, great. I'm speaking your language. I am looking for external validation here because I still question myself with these stories, and it's very different to how I used to present, but I feel like I'm going to be doing more and more of this. Okay. Sometimes people try something one time and give up if it didn't work. Embodiment is the key. Absolutely. That's the question. Have I embodied it? That is what makes the real difference. Exactly. So sometimes I'll say to my coach, oh, I've done that, but I've only done it 5 times. So really, it's only a few weeks in, I've had about 9 or 10 lessons on my horse, And I still know there's so much more to learn and to let go of. And the main thing is my fear. It's so funny because sometimes my friend, she'll say, do this. Like she's telling me to like pull my hand away from my body. But because my horse is going so fast and so powerful, I'm like, I can hear what you're saying, but my body is not responding. Okay. So she's going to keep telling me the same thing. And I know it's good for me, but I got to have trust and confidence in her and also in my horse. I'm getting all intellectual, like, what position does my body need to be in? Like, do I need to hold on to the mane? Do I need to have more weight on the outside? So it's like, Jen, just do it. Just do it. And then you realize like there was nothing to fear. Okay. So, all right, Carlene, I'm definitely in fix it with my health. And I've been there too. So just know that it's something that you can transition. Most people will ask how. It is a journey. Dana, yep, quit my job last year to have a new career. Scary, but intuitively I knew it was right. And Dana, thank you so much for coming to this. Um, Sophie, that was me. I grew over many years, then we grew apart. Thank you. And yeah, Sophie's a beautiful artist. And Kasha, I see that you're here. You had amazing breakthroughs from the last cycles, and you're a beautiful, very intuitively led artist as well in the spiritual realm. Um, yeah, the intellectual trap, knowledge consumption is the brow chakra. The work and the right of the brow chakra is to actually share, to actually integrate. Okay. My health deteriorates at the start of a big change. So if you go back and listen to old patterns next level, I have a story of that. And just to quickly throw in line with this is I started to get a little bit sick last week, and I was like, oh no, I don't want this to like turn into something, but it wasn't random. I knew why, and it was because I had been stretching my body with exercise, with Pilates, with something that scared me, jumping my horse. And so, of course, like I was a little bit more vulnerable. And so, I was meant to have an adult sleepover with my friend and our kids to catch up. And I was like, oh, do I push myself? And I was like, no, I need to rest. Like, I have this event coming up. I need to rest. And I felt really bad. And I said, look, this is how I'm feeling. Like, you probably wouldn't even know that something's wrong because I want to catch it early, but I want to let it be known. I'm probably just going to come for dinner. Turns out my other friend is even sicker than I am. So then I'm like, okay, we're calling it off. We're rescheduling it. It's all fine. But I know that if I had have pushed myself to do that and not be honest and vulnerable, like, hey, I can get sick, then it would have gotten worse. I feel like I nipped it in the bud and never came to anything. Okay. Um, all right, let's have Kylie share because she has an incredible health and life transformation. Kylie does work for me now, and this will be revealed a little bit more on day two. Today, we talked about foundations and keeping things simple. And maybe some of you are like me where you just want to skip. Day two, we're going to talk. You're all going to become a little bit of a horse tomorrow, okay? We're going to use the horses. You don't have to understand horses to understand yourself and how you interact with the emotional work and how you respond. And then day three, we're going to talk about relationship with time and money. And this is going to continue to evolve based on what you share with me, what you ask, what you respond on the replay videos in the Facebook or email. Okay. I read it all, but Kylie is the one that responds to you in those spaces. Okay. So, Kylie, let's have your story and then we'll move into some live coaching. Um, I'm just going to let you go for it and share.
You can answer messages if you like, Jim, in the chat. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, and there's some of you in here that do know me, my journey began in my early 20s, and I started putting on weight overnight, like alarming amounts of weight. And one day I could do up my jeans, the next day I literally couldn't. And within the space of 12 months, I'd put on 50 kilos. So for my other measurement friends, that's I'm going to say about 110 pounds in 12 months. I did nothing different. It was heartbreaking. It was frustrating. It was confusing because I wasn't doing anything differently. I wasn't eating differently. I didn't start suddenly midnight snacking or anything like that. So it took about 2 years of doctor hopping to find out that I had a thyroid disease. It wasn't because that was 35 years ago now. it wasn't really a go-to diagnosis back then. So it took a couple of years for them to find the issue. And I was given my tablets, and off you went to, off you go. There's your new normal. And life went on. And life did go on fairly normally, although that weight I could never get rid of. So that led me down the path of fix it mode, right? So there's got to be something I can do. So decades of diets and every protocol under the sun. And eventually, even in my 40s, I went back to college and became a naturopath, clinical nutritionist, and herbalist, right? So 4 years of fix it mode, and trying to figure out why can't I lose this weight? So that's where I was at. And it just continued. In my early 50s, I came across Jen and the art of listening to your body. I was in Bali when I came across her work, and I clearly remember it because I saw a spelling mistake and I sent her a message from Bali in the background saying, do you know there's a broken link or a spelling mistake or whatever it was, which she was
So
really
funny
grateful to
because this
me.
this is like such a constitutional thing, which is why Kylie works with me because yeah, I'm just like whatever, but she finds those things.
But she was like, Jen was very, very gracious and said, oh, thank you so much, and fixed it. And then I just kept watching and kept hanging out in this emotion world, right? And I was really curious. And I find a lot of people do this. We just watch for quite a long time and go, oh, what is this all about? So it was probably another year after that before I sort of decided to jump in on one of Jen's groups and learn this process. And the funny thing happened, and I thought I was signing up to do emotional work because everything else didn't work. Right. I'd changed a lot of things as a naturopath and learning this about my body. I changed a lot of things. So don't get me wrong, there was that portion and that was valuable. However, there was still so much. And so I thought, oh, okay, if I process my emotions, I'm going to magically lose this 50 kilos. And that's not kind of what happened, but kind of not what happened. So all of a sudden, strange things started to happen once I delved into this emotional work. Practitioners that I had been seeing for ages sort of disappeared and weren't working anymore. So I had to find a new practitioner. This particular one diagnosed me with lipedema, and that sort of added a new layer of understanding to my weight. And other things just came across my path that beforehand I probably couldn't have seen or wouldn't have had the capacity to see as an opportunity. Um, so I ended up actually having weight loss surgery, which before this, I didn't see as a possibility because I didn't eat much. With thyroid disease, you don't eat much often. And so A plus B equals C in my head, right? So I just, oh no, 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 that's not going to work for me or do anything for me. But it did do something for me for a whole other reasons. There's a podcast if you want to hear the full backstory to that. But I was scared of the weight loss surgery because of judgment of others, right? As a naturopath, what naturopath has weight loss surgery, right? So there's all these layers of things that we think to ourselves like, no, we can't do that. We can't do this. What will other people think? So that kind of doing the emotional work was what broke through all of those thought processes for me. And I ended up having the VSG, having the gastric sleeve surgery, and it literally melted off me because I was changing the hormones. So that's a whole nother story. During this time, also around the exact same time as I learnt this process and learnt to work on my emotions, hubby and I had a dream, and that was to move to Thailand. And we had this dream for different reasons. Now, this might be of interest to you, Luce, after what you said in the comments, because you and your husband have different reasonings for why you want to do what you want to do. And my husband wanted to retire early. The only way we could do that was living in Asia, right? Because of the cost of living. I'm just wanderlust. I'm a Pisces. I just wanted to go live somewhere, random and in the middle of nowhere or somewhere I hadn't been before. But after 3 years of having this vision and holding the vision, and again, completely different reasons for why we wanted to do it. Last year, 10 months ago, we moved to Bangkok, Thailand, and we've been there ever since and love it. And that's where my health journey continued, because I have had a lower body lift, because a lot of excess skin when you're 55 and you lose, like I went on to lose 60 kilos, sorry. And when you lose that kind of weight and you're 55, it doesn't bounce back. So I had a lower body lift in December, a facelift, because I thought, well, you know what? I deserve it, damn it. So I had the facelift and the neck lift so that the turkey neck was gone, that I had quite severely after such a big weight loss. And then 4 weeks ago, I had a breast lift and a side lift, so under the arms where everything was just melting, right? And so I continue on this health journey. And in Bangkok, it's their bread and butter, medical tourism. It's their everyday stuff. So I've been working with a surgeon who just knows what's what. So all of this, the vision, the health, all of this has just come about by literally adding the emotional work to my to my world. You can do all the physical stuff under the sun, but until I added the emotional stuff, things didn't really move. It was, oh, actually they did. It was just really hard work. So now we find ourselves in another little struggle with family members. So I've flown back to Australia, or we both have, and we are here, which is why I'm not in Bangkok clothes. I've got a heater down here. It's freezing in Perth, but that's okay. Here's the funny thing: the three people, or the two people involved, and my husband are all full of a cold and a flu that I'm going to say my husband picked up on the plane and brought it home to the people involved. Me, I'm fine. And I'm going to say it's because I'm the only one that does the emotional work. So I've got the capacity to deal with sort of the upheaval that's going on right now. They do not. So that's where I'm at right now. I can't wait to go back to Bangkok. We've booked our flights to go home in a couple of weeks, and that's my story. So it's a bit of a long one, and thank you for listening. Jen, have you got anything else to ask me around this?
I love Kylie's story. And I guess I feel like sometimes people might think, oh, hang on, but you went down this conventional pathway. But the thing is, as you say, it's like this fear of criticism and judgment. And like I liken it to working with people in the cancer space where they say, I'm never going to have chemo, I'm never going to have radiation. But until they're in that position, they're in that experience, then they get to make the decisions that they want and they've got to feel grounded in it. And so yeah, like your podcast is great to listen to because you get to go much deeper into it. Because some people might be like, hang on, we've just talked about weight, we've talked about makeup, we've talked about all these things, and now you're going to have like weight loss surgery. But I hope people can see, like, for Kylie, it's doing the emotional work and it's following decisions that support her because she's had amazing recoveries. And even just the fact that because you had one of the surgeries in Australia and then you're like, oh, I'll go to Thailand. It's so much cheaper. It's actually so much better care. And it's actually helped someone else in our in my
Mm,
space who's actually about to go to Thailand to get surgery. But we never look at surgery as the fix it. Okay. The surgery is it's a desire. Let's see how you navigate it. But also let's make sure you don't have any complications from it. Because if you're doing it from the wrong intention, wrong energy, that's when you get the complications. That's when you get the infections. And there's been something more recent and fascinating. I'll just say it in a nutshell. Kylie's having all these multiple surgeries, but then there's these interesting challenges that have happened twice. And so with the last one, she was due to have the boob lift, has to have pre-op, and her platelet count has plummeted down to 65 and normal is 150. And they're like, we can't do the surgery. You got to get your platelet count up. Oh, we'll give you a blood transfusion. Okay, fix it. She's B negative blood type. They couldn't find the blood to give her a transfusion. So she's like, what am I going to do? And she did all of the emotional processing. I didn't actually guide her to do this. She just like knew how to do it because she's embodied it. And she did a whole bunch of variations and processes. The next morning, they test her blood not even 24 hours later, and it shot up to 130. So she was able to have surgery without a blood transfusion. So that ability to go, oh, hang on, I've got a challenge here. What's the lesson really quickly? What do I have to let go of? Because what I think people don't realize as well with, if you have something like bariatric surgery, if you lose a massive amount of weight, then you are instantly letting go of an identity pretty quickly, right? And so there's people that know you for a certain way. And when you change your physical body, your emotional state is also going to be influenced as well. And so even making moves like that can really threat a relationship, a way of being, your current way of being that you've got to be able to navigate at the same time. There is also people have bariatric surgery and it has a high failure rate. Okay. And that's where I see because of the emotional work. And so for Kylie and what I've known of her and the journey that we've worked on, the unseen parts, the conversations that we've had, it's like this feels so in alignment for her. So I don't want you to take it the wrong way. And this is the thing, when people share their stories, it can be open to so much judgment. Okay. And I like even here, and I say to Kylie, like, you've got such an amazing story. I want you to share it. And even for me, I'm like, I go, is this the right story to share? But I have multiple, right? And some of you I know Kylie, and just one of the big reasons I have her working with me is because of the constitutional side of things that we're going to explore tomorrow. And it all started with her reaching out to me and telling me the mistake or a link that wasn't working. Okay. I've got lots of you in my life that will tell me when something's not working, and I'm so grateful for that. Um, and the reason she's working with me is because she has been through this massive health transformation and I've seen the challenges, and she has transformed her life, the other facets of life. And there are challenges, but there is so much good stuff as well. Okay. And now she's walking with a challenge, yet she is still showing up today whilst her family is sick, whilst there is a whole bunch of stuff that we know we're not going to speak about it in this space. But it's so valuable to be with people who've been on the journey. And there is a point on the journey where it's not about just working with someone who's been on the weight loss journey, because you can infuse it into every facet of life. Like once upon a time, I thought I needed to have an osteopath and a clinic owner as one of my coaches, a woman. But I had a man who was younger than me, who was a physiotherapist, and he was a great coach. So seeing beyond. And so, yeah, Kylie, I hope that those of you who've heard Kylie's story today, and maybe you go deeper and you listen to the podcast episode, that you'll never see the work that's gone in behind it, but it's been so worth it for, yes, the outside results. But at the end of the day, Kylie hasn't done this surgery for you. She's done it for herself and to feel good in her body. And this is where I say, like, emotional Botox, right? Is that sometimes, well, not sometimes, your past gets ingrained in your body, the way your physical body shows up, the way your face shows up, all the emotions are on your face is because of past experiences. And there are some things that will improve over time. Like I've seen my face improve over time, but sometimes there are such deeply ingrained lines that you may have done the work, but you are physically always reminded, or environmentally you're always reminded, which is why people move from like their hometown or wherever the things happened. They move, they change the home because like massive challenge or grief happened in that home. And some people, I'm not against people doing Botox or wearing makeup. It's like there is a point where you can do it to enhance, and there is a point where you can go too far, right? And we can see that in people when they're not happy in their body. So, um, I like people think that I am against conventional, and there are paradigms of health that get to coexist. This paradigm of health gets to exist to meet people at a different stage and phase. The conventional and the system have a lot of people process on the system. It has a time and a place. But sometimes we judge it so much that when we need, or we're in that stage one and we rely on that system to take pain away from us, that's the emotions that we've got to navigate. So everyone's journey is so individual. And just to, talk about this whole emotional Botox, or if people do get Botox, I mean, I would rather not go down that pathway, but who knows what my decisions are going to be down the track. In Vipassana meditation, I learnt about, are they called sankaras? Sankara, something like that, which is like the scars. And it talks about if you put a line, an analogy is you put a line in the sand, and the next day the tide comes in, washes it away, and it's gone. You have no sign of it. But there are some things that are so deeply ingrained in like a rock. Okay. So there might be a line that is damaged or carved into the rock. But that is going to take a lot more time for that scar in the rock to wear away. okay? The path of growth and evolution. It is going to eventually get eroded by the waves hitting it, the tide, the different weather, the elements, the wind, but it is going to take a lot longer than a line in the sand. So, what I'm getting at here is that I would want you to be able to process events and experiences and not hold on to the emotions because you don't know how or because you don't give yourself space and time. Space and time is the feminine. Okay, let them be lines in the sand that the next day the tide and the water can wash them away. Don't have them be deeply ingrained rocks, like scars in the rocks, which you know that there is stuff from maybe decades ago and you can start to chip away at it. Okay. The longer you leave it, it's not impossible, but it is just a little bit more challenging to overcome the resistance to work on it. And there are some quick fixes, but sometimes those quick fixes, those quick foundations, if they're not built properly and sustainably, then eventually they fall apart. And usually it's like me when I go to the higher jumps, my foundations and whether or not I've got them are going to be exposed. The higher, the deeper, the more expansive I get. Okay. In every facet of life, things will get exposed that you've got to work on as you expand, which is why I advocate for having the capacity to deal with emotions um, in whatever phase you're in. So thank you, Kylie, for sharing. And yeah, send your love to Kylie. And I want you guys to have these stories and really to own who you are. And Luce, thank you. I think that you said that you're remote and you've got your Starlink working. I've lost Terry. She's fallen asleep, but she's absorbing subconsciously. Thank you for being present. Um, it is interesting. Okay. Now I know it's late for you, Terry, but you know, your body is going to absorb this, and some people feel really tired listening to this because there is a truth, and sometimes it's difficult to handle, or sometimes it just has to get you out of the head. And I trust that you will subconsciously hear this. Okay. Let me read this comment, then we'll move to live coaching, and it's 11:11, so good timing. I think, Robin, I think I have judgment for my own story, and it is likely keeping me in some degree of an emotional fix-it loop. Relying upon my own genuine knowing without judgment is what I'm currently wanting to get much clearer on. Yeah. I often say that if we are the person that has judged, then when we get onto that leg of the journey, that judgment is what can hold us back because we realize other people are going to do that. Okay. So it's a really interesting mirror. There's that saying that when you're pointing your finger, there's three fingers pointing back at you. Now, I have some sneaky judgments that come in, but I really aim to be more and more curious. And sometimes I've gotten a big slap in the face about how naive my judgments have been. And really, it is that whole experience of I'm judging from a place that I'm not at yet. Okay. Anyway, okay. So let's move into live coaching. I'm just going to check how much time I have got. Okay. I've got plenty of time. When I do live coaching, I love for you to have your videos on because I am able to read into a little bit more. I'm able to see when I maybe step over the line and I need to stop. I always give people a warning that I have no filter when it comes to my coaching. I want to give you the truth, whether or not you're ready to handle it or not. If you do not feel safe, then stop me, please. Okay? Do not do that to your body and just go, I need to receive this. If you're not ready, you will hear what you need to hear. I forgot to tell everyone, don't take notes during these sessions. They're not going to make sense afterwards. You got to integrate this, you got to experience it. So remember that this first session of the cycles is going to go on the podcast. So it is going to be seen by people outside of what's been registered. This does attract more people. There's going to maybe be someone in this space that you have no idea that you actually know. Okay. So just be aware of that. Some people go deep and vulnerable. You get to take responsibility for what you share. I do not edit my stuff. I like to keep my life simple, which means I don't edit. So just be warned that if you get coached, it's going to go out there. Okay. But also
How many
know
people, Jim?
um, we'll start with two. Sometimes people have quick questions. I know that we've already been on for over 2 hours. I'm happy to stay on for another hour. I also prefer that if you're going to receive coaching, that you've actually sat through this whole first section, this foundation. And yeah, the replays are going to go up in the Facebook group. If you have anything that lands afterwards that you haven't shared in the chat or you want to give extra due to it, then pop it in the replay. Sometimes I ask questions in the comments, sorry, in the post of the replay that you can respond to. Um, okay, so I've got Zabi, raise your hand if you know how to raise your hand. I've got 2 pages of people. And then anyone who shares, if you can be loving and supportive in the chat, give people emojis. I always say it can be quite a big deal to share in front of a bunch of strangers. But as I shared very early on, is nothing replaces being seen in a group and the growth that you can get from it. So I see Zabi and I see Jane. Zabi, do you want to go first? And let me know where you're from, Zabi.
I'm from Alberta, Canada.
Oh, hi. How are you?
I'm well. This has been so interesting.
Oh, I
I've
love it.
really enjoyed it.
Thank you. And I really appreciate your comments as well. I love seeing people's names pop up. So, yeah, well, what have you taken away from it and what can I help you with?
Well, I think the last takeaway was that really it's doing the emotional work or something on the emotional work that is the key.
Mm,
And it's something I've been in the process of doing for probably a couple of years now because I found myself in fight or flight a few years ago, and I was just like, whoa, and I had to find my way out of that. Now mostly I don't live in fight or flight now, but when it comes to um, doing some of the things that I really desire, the fight or flight still it's can come up and be stronger. Um, Seems like stronger than my desire.
Okay, well, can I have you give voice to what it is you desire? Because I think that's powerful in itself.
Well, I would love to live near the ocean
Yep.
and grow food, have my own garden. And I do this thing where I walk my dog down the path where I live now and I make little bouquets of the wildflowers. And I love that. And I'd love to have enough garden that I could have, flowers and make all the bouquets that I wanted and find a man that I resonate with. And that's um, a match for my heart,
Yes.
opposed to, my mind.
Yes.
Yeah, those things would be really good.
Okay.
And one of the big desires I have is to have, which I'm integrating and growing my capacity to have um, um, a more resilient and loving and accepting relationship with myself. Because
Yeah.
I feel like I've avoided myself and paid attention to other people most of my life.
Oh, I love that. Okay. You've given me some good things to speak to. Are you happy for me to just share
Yes,
what comes up? And are you okay if I share some stories with you to
yes.
support what your vision and desire is? Okay.
Mhm.
I mean, the last thing that you said is so essential is to build a relationship with yourself first and foremost, and then you will just naturally attract. So I always talk about giving to yourself first, being selfish, a healthy selfish, make yourself a priority, and then give everything from overflow. Give love from overflow, give money from overflow, give food from overflow, give love, and I'm probably repeating myself, but there is that old cliche saying of love yourself first and then others will love you. And I often say in this space is that you've got to value yourself before anyone else will value you. You've got to own your value. Okay. And this comes in the form of I had some conversations with people that this journey takes you on the journey of being able to value yourself and maybe sometimes charge for your services, right? But when we charge our worth, our value, when we really own it, some people will go, I don't want to pay that much. You're too expensive. And so that's why we've got to have the emotional work to go, okay, you're just not for me. Rather than like, oh gosh, I'm not getting anyone and I need to drop my prices. And then that doesn't work for life. So I love your vision. because, and this is where I still say that foundation of emotional work, because you've got to be able to create space to hold the vision. And for me, there's structure and strategy behind how you process your emotions. And it's been so fascinating to me practicing it over the years myself and seeing where clients have taken it, is how much deeper it can go and how people are now able to access different realms. And some people start to channel and get these most amazing messages. And sometimes their releases are messages for other people in the group. But you create space so that you can actually apply a new simple structure and strategy for your vision. So a lot of people feel like manifestation is all just flow, but universe rewards the action, and laws of nature is that we have masculine structure to allow the feminine to flow. So let your dreams be heard, which is why I said talk about the desires. Like go and just, whenever someone's in conversation with you and you have the opportunity, give voice and vibration to it. Because I say that when your energy is in the right place and you have got that clear emotional cup, positive and negative emotions, then people want your desires to happen. They want to know how to support it. And I say support is very in the feminine. So remember when I said when you get to stage 3 in this inner knowing, a lot of people go, oh, I can just go off and do it on my own. It's like, no, you'll have a different level of support when you reach that stage and phase. And I love how you're talking about attracting a partner. And I know that you can get it from the language that you're using is to attract a partner that for who's for your heart, not your mind. And I think partnership relationship is just such a beautiful example of this journey as well, because often it's the polarity that attracts us to someone. And then when we start to get comfortable in a relationship, the things that attracted us and magnetized us to someone become the triggers for us to work through. And so I often see people, I say there's a very intimate relationship between job and relationship. And I often see people leave a job or leave a relationship too soon before they've done the work, before they've actually been able to have communication and conversation. I saw Loost actually post this as well, is like, what are the conversations that we can have? And I'm pretty sure it was you, Zabi, that was saying, like, can you love yourself now and the weight you are? Was that you? Yeah.
Yeah, like can if rather than focusing on I need to lose this weight, can you
Yeah.
just love yourself? And as you love yourself, your body comes back into its natural balance.
Yes,
That's kind of
absolutely.
that's
And I
what
had,
I've been using to do the things that I want to do. It's like
yeah.
the more I can love myself, the more these things seem to fall away.
Absolutely. And, Kylie's is one story. Mine is a different version around weight. And then I've got many other stories where literally I have had people process their emotions, come back to a deep love for themselves, and it melts away. I've had other people where, they've gone on this growth journey, they've separated from a relationship, weight drops away. So
Mhm.
everyone's pathway to the end result is going to
Yeah.
be a little different, right? And so when we manifested this property, because you want to manifest a property and land and grow stuff, my husband, he's just carved out 600 square meters to build a veggie patch. I'm like, that could
Woo.
feed a lot of people. That's like a house plot. When we manifested this, um, we had been looking for a property for 2 years. And then I was like, I'm done. You know what? We're really happy in this rental. And as soon as I got to that place, then this place popped up. We couldn't get offers in. No one would take a look at us. We were actually looking at much smaller properties. This was the first big property that we were looking at. And it's the one that we landed. And we walk around and we're like, this is absolutely crazy. Like, we just love it here. And when people come over, they just feel the energy. And I say
Mhm.
to people, I've been told that only people who are ready are going to come here. The amount of people that have been invited to come over here but haven't yet, I find it really interesting. And then the people that eventually come over who have been saying for a long time they're going to come over, I just wait. And they're like, why did it take me so long? And it's a little bit
Mhm.
like the emotional journey as well. And
Mhm.
so I have a couple of people in my world who also have desired to live near water. And tomorrow, when we talk about, we're going to talk about fight and flight, and we're going to talk about your little inner horse tomorrow, is that there are some constitutions or just an inner knowing that you got to be around water. Okay.
Mhm.
Or
That's what
some,
I have. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it can be confirmed astrologically if you want that, but you just know. Like I'm a mountain and lake person. I love the
Mhm.
beach, but only for holidays. Okay.
Mhm.
So there are some people who are just like water babies, sea babies, open space. Um,
Well,
and
one of the things that I realized was when I breathe as if I am the ocean, if I breathe deeply and breathe in and breathe out like I'm standing by the ocean, and the rhythm and the power and the steadiness and the aliveness that I feel by the ocean, it's almost like it's recalibrating me in some ways that I don't understand.
yeah.
And now I'll even just like put the ocean on the computer and breathe and let it run while I'm cooking supper. Just it's because it's doing something for me, even though I'm not physically by the ocean.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And it's like, what can you bring in of that future version now as much as possible, even if you don't have it, and to trust it is coming. And so I do have a few people, and they've gone down these different pathways of, desiring to live near water, a certain distance from the beach. And they thought that it was impossible, that these homes, these houses were out of their reach. Um, I have another woman who, for a long time, I saw someone say that I've been, was it living in Oregon for 20 years and I don't want to be here. I had another client with a very similar story. It's like, I'm living in this regional town. I've never wanted to be here. And so through this process and connecting with her vision, she realized I had a vision that I didn't actually take action with, that she's always wanted to live near the water. And so one of the things that I would usually recommend to people is go on holidays, take a drive if you can, have a long weekend in different seasons by the water and actually experience it as much as you can. Because usually, when we're in an environment living in a way that we don't want to, we can be, because you might go, oh gosh, it costs so much and I can't afford it. I don't know if that is your narrative, but this thought comes up for people, yet they're spending out of pain, they're spending out of approval because they're not happy with where they're at. And so the money and the energy of the money starts to get channeled elsewhere. And honestly, I put a post on my social media the other day, and I have this group of people who have been through release and emotional processing with me. And I have two different groups depending on like how fast they want to move or just where they're at. So some people are it's like there's a lower touch group and there's a higher touch one. And some of my very amazing manifesting clients will go into the lower touch one because they're like, right, I'm happy here for a bit. And then they move into the other one. Anyway, there is a woman who I'm just going to say she lives on land with her husband and she's always wanted a new house. Now, she did my work several years ago. And I've kept on watching her going, I know what you've got on the cards. I really think you should come back into the emotional processing to open up another level. So I can't talk about what it is, but that's all in motion. The other day she came on a call and she said, so there's all this chaos that's been happening, but it turns out my husband's boss is going to build us a home. She doesn't even have to freaking pay for it.
Wow. Wow.
Jane, you've got to go watch that because you're in that group, right? That's the last
Wow.
replay. So there's some stories I just can't share, but if you're in that group and you've walked the path with this woman, it's like incredible. And she was like showing us her house plans. And yeah, so I'm just going to be very non-specific about where this is and how I'm going to reference it. But imagine that getting a house built for you.
Hmm.
And yeah, just another layer revealed.
Hmm.
So yeah, this other person, she just wrote down in her desire to live in a villa, to be by the beach, close to the shops, didn't think it was possible, thought it was out of her budget. But because I knew she had done the emotional work and created capacity, it's like honestly, we can think like this is silly, I'm just writing it down, it's so impossible. But you just lead with your heart and you let the details land later.
Hmm.
Okay. So, and she's manifested that place and now she wants to move on to something else. That's all good. The other woman, she now lives close to the water. Um, on her exploration, she thought she wanted to live interstate, like up like northern parts of Australia. And then in the process, in the action of, in the experience of searching for a place, real estate agents, looking at properties, she realized that she didn't want to be so far away from her daughters who were still living in Victoria. She said, if anything happened, we wouldn't forgive ourselves. Okay.
Hmm.
And so, in the process of it, she's able to work out, is this actually what I really want? And so then that's when she realized, actually, I have this old desire to live in this certain town by a certain name, and that's where they live now. And there's been a
Mm.
few challenges, but she's come to peace with it. And she got to redecorate her whole home. On one of the calls, she was taking us around and showing us, like, she just sold all that old furniture, a little bit like the Botox, right? Just get rid of it all, and I'm going to start fresh. But it's coming from the right place.
Mm.
Otherwise, what happens is then, you see people and they're buying all of the things, and it's like, is this person actually internally happy? And so I say, like, I work with people who they identify as high achievers. Some of them don't acknowledge that they're high achievers. They have success on the outside. So they might have what looks like the health, the job, the relationship, the home, the family, but they don't have the success and the fulfillment on the inside. And there are
Mm.
some people who it's like, oh yeah, yeah, they definitely have the health challenges. So it's a little bit of the story of like the water piece. And this is where I don't know why I'm so convicted in it. And it's probably because the results that I've seen for the people who've walked the path is like, just start with processing your emotions. And like, you don't have to have pain and challenge and bad things happen in your life. But honestly, like, there is such a beautiful gift in this process that I teach people, but it's experiential and it's the coaching that comes with it as well, and it
Mm.
creates space for these desires. So when I came here, I was like, holy cow, like when I wanted to manifest good skin, I didn't think I wanted horses or land, right? And never had this on my radar. But this is what presented as I had more capacity. And now my husband's like, I want 50 chickens. I'm like, oh God, that can be your responsibility. So there's just and when I came here, I didn't know that I was going to run retreats. I didn't know that I was going to work with people and my horses. But I only let people work at this stage, I only let people work with my horses if they have that foundation in emotional work. And it's probably going to come up in stories tomorrow. So hold on to that dream, but ask yourself, am I speaking about this? Some people feel guilty for wanting this, right? And I agree with you. It's like, love your body the way it is, love your home and what you've created, because your home and where you live now probably was once upon a time a dream. And people feel guilt when they desire something more, but it's like, but you just realize and you become more confident of what you can actually create. But it is going to require work. Okay. It's going to require work for you to have a veggie patch, and either you delegate it, you get woofers. There's so many possibilities, and let the possibilities open up as you go on the journey. Okay.
Mhm.
So sometimes the universe has got to see you take the action, and then it presents the people to you. And that's where I say you've got to have the momentum to keep up with the conversations, to, make a decision as to whether or not this person is aligned to speak to or not. So you
Mm.
talked about the ocean, you talked about the veggie patch. And I recently shared with people that I worked with before is that, even the garden and the veggie patch is such a good representation of the foundation. Like me, I just bought garlic the other day and I just want to whack it in the ground. But Gav's like, no, you got to like do something with the soil, create a good foundation so you've got good garlic in 6 months' time. And
Mm.
so he always grounds me quite a bit because I like to move fast and sometimes I like to skip the steps and I pay for it later. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, veggie garden is just, yeah, such a good analogy that you don't even have to think about growing weeds, right? They're going to grow with very little energy. And this is the thing, is that quite often as humans, we focus more on what we don't want rather than what we do want.
Mm.
And to grow your veggies, there's some that are a quick hit, like radishes. You could probably just stick the seeds in the ground. And if you plant it at the right time of year with the right weather, then you probably don't even need to water them. And in 3 weeks, you've got radishes. But then
Mhm.
there are other veggies that are harder to grow that need a certain environment.
Mhm.
And there are some veggies that aren't meant to grow in certain environments and they take a lot more work. You need the greenhouse, you need more money.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I was
Yeah.
in Australia, I was having to see the acupuncturist, the herbalist, control my diet, and again, not the greatest energy, and get these skin peels to maintain my face and my skin looking good in that environment. I was so fearful to leave Australia because I thought in Wanaka, we don't have acupuncturists and herbalists like this. We don't have people that do skin and chemical peels like this. There is now, but as soon as I moved here, I didn't need any of that.
Mhm.
And then I looked back and go, oh my gosh, how many tens of thousands of dollars have I spent on this? And then I found my sneaky human coming into personal development. and taking that same attitude going, oh my gosh, I've spent so much money on this. This is hopeless. This coaching doesn't work. And I'm like, oh, now I've learned that if I can just take one thing away, then it's so valuable. Okay, so have I talked to all of the things that you talked about? Like, oh, one more. So I'm really big on following desires. So to attract your ideal partner, I have another beautiful story of a lady I'm about to catch up and do a one-to-one coaching call with her today. She came into my world with pain, and that pain had her step back from her business, manage it in a different way, and communicate. And when I ask her what's the best part of her journey, she says it's attracting my ideal partner. So that just came about from working on physical pain in her body, then working on her business. And she wrote it all down, and this guy is just to a T. So she's recently sold her home and they've now bought a home together. She expanded her hobby business. And just recently, why she came back to coach with me, she says, I now need to let go of this other business completely. And it's a very successful business. And I always say to her, I don't think you acknowledge what you've actually built, the success. And she needs people around her who have built businesses like this to acknowledge that, right? Only they will understand what work it's taken, the challenges, the celebrations. Um, and so, actually, just last week, she finalized having the conversations with her team and letting go and really honoring that journey that she's had. And so, there's all these new things that are going to be opening up for her. But I just go, you've got an amazing foundation. Whatever you say you want, there's no question that it's going to come to fruition, right? And I catch myself for myself whenever I have a desire when my logical brain gets in the way. As soon as my logical masculine brain gets in the way, I know I'm overthinking it and I need to let go, which is usually when I go, I'm going to ride a horse. Good things happen in my life when I do that. And so, with this journey of riding my horse, people go, oh, how did you attract these people, these friends into your life? When I sold my business, I said, I want to get back into horse riding. After I sold my business, I broke my ankle 3 weeks later, and that ankle took 12 months to heal. I think I talked about this in the previous cycle, so I won't go into it too far here. But I still bought a horse. And she's the horse that's, Tilly the buckskin on all the pictures of the cycles. She's taught me so much. And that's how I met my best friend. And we went to Canada last year. I went to Canada with a bunch of horse ladies that I probably wouldn't have met if I was, not following something that just brought me joy, happiness, and fun that I didn't expect. Um, when I went on this jumping journey and I was so nervous, I met another lady and we're doing jump lessons together and we're entering these little competitions and these little, have a go days with kids and teenagers. And we're like, we're more excited than them. So maybe we should have the ribbons. But anyway, so it's like I just follow my desires, even though they scare me, and I meet amazing people. And so ask yourself, like, are you waiting for circumstances to change, or are you putting yourself out there? Okay, are you allowing yourself to feel joy and happiness so that you can magnetize that person?
Well, I'll tell you a story. I love this idea of how horses and humans interact. So I've been driving around looking for places where there's horses. And then the other day I found a poster at the center downtown, and it said, $500 for a 3-day weekend thing. Women heal your life. Come spend time with my horses. So I phoned the lady and I said, do you have something less intensive? I could just want to experiment to see what happens if I could come near a horse. Because these other horses that I found randomly in the countryside, you couldn't really get close to them. Anyway, so I got up she said, sure, go on the website and book a time. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'll do that someday. Then the next day I said, I'm going to book a time. So I booked a time. I got in my car. I drove out there, and it was the most amazing experience. All the work I've been doing, coming into heart coherence and calming my nervous system and being at peace. I was touching that horse, and there was so much love in my heart. It was like it was just happening.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, yeah, this is my new thing. This is I
Mm,
gotta find some way to be near more horses. Yeah, it
that's
was
so
so
cool.
it was
I
so
love that
amazing.
for you.
So I think the reason I'm here today is probably because the picture that you have on this thing is you with a horse coming, and I'm like, I should go on there and see what that's about.
See, this is the funniest thing, right? Because I'm like, wow, I had no idea how much my horses were going to help my work. And if
Mm.
anyone's been to my other masterclasses, I say that horses have helped me realize that I'm walking a parallel journey with my horses as people are stepping into my emotional world. Okay. So I'm still walking the path of the emotional world, but I see so much that people don't see. And the horse world is relatively new to me. So I'm asking very similar questions in the horse world as people are asking in the emotional world, which is why when I kind of tested talking about horse stories, I'm like, do you guys get this? Because honestly, some people will go, I'm so scared of horses, I can't listen to this. Like they just have a block. But this is where I see, everything is connected in life. It's so amazing. So I love that you have that opportunity and um yeah, it's very cool. Like sometimes I wonder, oh, are people going to think that this is an event talking about horses and teaching about horses? Or like feeling guilt that because people think that you're rich if you have horses. Now I'm rich in life, and my horses do cost more than what my friend's horses do. She gets them for free or $500 or $800. Um, I do look at my paddock and go, there's a lot of money here. But I also don't spend as much as some people spend on their horses. Okay. I'll be transparent. Most of my horses cost about ten or $12,000. Some people will spend 100,000 on the horses. That's not as common, but you can get great free horses. But I don't regret it. I don't regret it, that energetic exchange. And I led with desire. And I went on a very fast journey with the horses. Like my second horse was a stallion. I then bred him. And it's so funny. I was like, Kylie, I don't know where this story is going to come in. So my horses are a very unique color. And especially for New Zealand, I love colored horses. And it's so funny. I'm having a million stories land in my mind. So there's a lady, Jo, who commented on like, where are you guys at? And she said, I manifested a horse retreat. So she's an old client. She's become a friend. And she actually came on a retreat that I was hosting for a guy that came over from Switzerland. So she actually came to my place and got to hang out with my horses. She shared a story on her page the other day and I was like, who is this person? I don't know who it is. He has the exact same colored horses as me, even like the same colored dog. Lola, do you want to come and show people who you are? Come here. So this is where my animal journey started. This is Lola, my sausage dog. And she's a dapple. She's quite again, I go for rare, I go for like uncommon. And I said, Joe, this woman's got like the same colored horses as me, and these are like blue roan, silver dapples. They're not common colors. And she's in a similar line of work as me. And then she said, yeah, and she has a sausage dog the same color as Lola. I'm like, this is
Wow.
so weird. So I actually messaged her and I said, I've got no idea who you are, but I think it's so bizarre that we have the same colored horses. So I have this beautiful horse with a chocolate coat and a silver, like a blonde mane. And his name is Chevy, but I nickname him Fabio. He looks like Fabio, like the I can't believe it's not Butter Guy, the Italian model, right? Then I'm like scrolling on her Instagram. She has a foal, the same color, and its name is Fabio. I'm like, this is just so weird. So
Wow.
I look at all these connections. So I had to message her
Wow.
and say, you might think I'm crazy, but I'm sure, I hope she doesn't. Um, but it's like, I have the same horses. I've got like the fact that we both breed horses
Mm.
and same colored little sausage dog. Like this little sausage dog, even if you don't like dogs, she just makes people feel so good.
Yes, she's beautiful. And I happen
And
to love dogs.
yeah,
I have border collie and I happen to love dogs too.
I saw
Yeah.
it walk past. But get this right. Okay, so the horseman that has taught me a lot, and he's going to be running the starting clinic to break in the horses here, right? Now, I have to like be myself around people. He has tried to breed this color, and I share this story in the cycles. He has tried to breed this special silver dapple, like the chocolate brown coat and the blonde mane, 15 times.
Mm.
He is the one that broke in my stallion and he kept him. So I bought a stallion before I even had a property to put him on. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do here. And he tried 15 times and he tried to breed twice with mine. And 15 times he's gotten blacks.
Hmm.
And I said, I'm not going to mention his name. You'll be able to find it somehow. But anyway, he's this like ex-rodeo cowboy dude. And I just go, well, you just need to manifest it. But okay, manifestation requires emotional work, etc. And he said to me, I will be so jealous if you get a silver dapple foal. And so I started questioning because it's like, can you really influence this? And, I did buy genetically colored horses to increase my opportunities, but I still had a 50-50 chance of breeding this color. So I really, over this 11 months that a horse is pregnant, actually, this horse was pregnant for over a year. I was like, oh my gosh, is this going to just like dismantle everything that I teach? I'm not going to breed this colored horse because I would put it out on social media, group accountability. I'm going to get a silver dapple foal. And she came out and she was. Now, I saw this
Wow.
colored horse on Instagram.
Wow.
And so,
Congratulations.
thank you. I'll have to show you them. They are so cute. Maybe one day I'll take you guys out into the. Oh, they are there. They're down there. We can go for a
That,
walk later if you want.
that's phenomenal.
But you know what? I was just like, holy cow, I did it. And then I got a second colored horse. I got a blue roan. Anyway, he messaged me the other day, and I'm like, I'm just going to talk about manifestation. I don't think this guy gets it. But then we've been having deeper conversations. He messages me the other day with a video, and he said, well, Jin, some people would say I might have manifested this. And he got a Sabbiano silver colt. So Sabbiano is a particular color. And I was like, yes, you've done it. And I just celebrated it. And I was like, here's to the expansion. You finally did it. But you know what I really value? Because I said, oh, I've got this cycles event and I trust the story is going to land. You've just given me a new story to share. Someone's going to help me bring this up. You've tried 15 times. Like, isn't that dedication? And it made me remember a woman. I'm going to give her name credit. Her name's Belle. Some of you know her in my space. She did 18 IVF cycles. And I'm like, I'm constantly acknowledging her for like, do you know how much dedication and internal power it takes to try 18 IVF cycles? And like, that is something of your past identity to really anchor into. Like, if you can put this consistency, if you can put this energy into anything that you desire, you are going to get the result. Okay, can you imagine like what it feels like to have 17 cycles not come to fruition? Okay, there's always a gap. So yeah, I just thought, wow, you've tried 15 times. That is dedication to get this colored foal. And I just love how he used to poo-poo me talking about manifestation, and now he's like jokingly sending me these messages. So he's done it. He's done it. So I something shifted in his life, and actually they've just bought a new property, they've expanded it. And yeah,
Well, it
um,
is all about shifting what's inside. That's
yeah,
what I've come to understand.
yeah,
And part of what I'm hoping to learn, and some of this from you, I suppose, is how I allow that. Because I don't know if it's so much how I do it, but it's more about how I allow it. How do I allow the shift that it's inside of me that needs to happen to align myself with those things that are
yeah,
my desires or what's
yeah,
true for me?
yeah. And I think that there is a strategy to it, but it's very simple. And some people just they feel very uncomfortable in how simple it is. And it just takes consistency. And this is where it's been hard for me because I'm like, just start processing your emotions. And honestly, the energy and intention that you approach it with, that's where the magic starts to happen. That's where you start to experience the allowing. Yeah. Is there anything else that I didn't address that you want to explore?
Well, of course, I would like to understand what your idea of processing emotions is, but I'm not sure that that's what you're doing here exactly.
Yeah. So on Thursday, it's kind of separate, but I was probably going to put a post up. Well, yeah, I have a couple of different free things. So the cycles is one that I think I'll run every 6 months. And then the missing link masterclass is something that I run semi regularly. But the thing is that I say to people, the basic version of my process is in my book, but that's only to process on people. And some people get it and some people don't. Okay. And it was really hard for me to put it in the book and let it be available without support because people were going to say this is amazing. And some people were going to say this is rubbish. It doesn't work. And I'm like,
Mm, mm,
support.
right.
Support probably what you're missing. Okay. So
Mm,
you can have a look at it. And I say to people, come to this kind of stuff to see if you can actually feel if there's something in it for you. Because I don't want
right.
people to choose to do my work out of logic. But I used to teach it to people and it's a journey. It's a journey, but it doesn't need to be a long one, is what I'm saying. So I
Mm.
do get a little bit elusive about it. But I've also attracted a lot of amazing people that have had incredible results because they have come in with a feeling and a trust rather than what does the process look like? Because you know what happens? People go, I'm just going to practice this, I'm going to nail it, and then I'm going to come to work with you to amplify it. And it's like, we just amplify all along.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
So, yeah, in some ways, in some ways, I am sharing it already, but it's not for someone to go away. I've never just taught it to people where it's like you're just off and you do it on your own. Like, because
Mm.
there's so many variations. And it's this whole thing that I've been sharing in the stories of like, when you work on yourself, you can only work on what you see. But actually, it's about working on the subconscious, it is about working on the unseen.
So basically, it's a process that you do together with people.
It's a process that you can learn. I've been able to teach it to people. I facilitate it with people. I give people feedback. So,
Mm.
yeah, I am going to be sharing about it more on day 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just curious because I like to take out all the stops, right? I like to find the things that make a difference and do it and
Yeah.
watch what happens. Watch
Yeah.
when you let go of things that aren't serving you, you can be amazed by what your body has the capacity to do for you,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Okay. Thanks,
Very
Sabi.
much. Thank you.
You're welcome. And just give some love to Zabi. And if you got anything out of that, let her know. And also in the meantime, I love to know like what's been valuable from today's session 1 of the cycles, which is all about foundations. And if you also want to share it later on the Facebook replay, that also inspires other people to like come into the sessions and actually watch the replays as well. So you can either put it there or you can pop it in the chat here. Okay, so I've got Jane and Cassandra, and then I'll just like call it there. Jane, how are you?
Hello. Um, this session has just been so good for me. I've had such a lot of aha moments, but I loved what Zabi said about loving your body to a good weight or, just loving your body. Love that.
Yeah.
Um, and there were lots of other aha moments, but what I actually wanted to share, oh, that the other thing was that the 3 stages of healing. I really got a lot out of that.
Oh, cool. Because Jane, you're in my world and you're working with me, right? And I really love how you show up to this stuff because some people would go, I've done that, but sometimes we're just going to bring ourselves back to basics again.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. And that's how it feels. It's actually even better than basics in this session that today for me.
Mm.
But there's something I want to share, and I don't know if I have a question around it or not, but it was just doing some releases on myself, and this is relationships with women, and like there were patterns that have come up, um, like with doing releases on myself, and one of them was like friendships in the past. These are all women. Um, they have given me things, and now years later, the relationship has changed because they feel now that I owe them something because they've given me something in the past.
Yep.
And then I've also had women that I've had on a pedestal, but when I've got to know them, I've realized that they're actually just human beings, but they've actually dropped off the pedestal.
Yep.
And I've not known how to actually negotiate that relationship. And then there's also, and this is all come, like these are all, sort of pop, these have all popped up at once. And then, like, when I've made this, and this is going back years when I didn't have a relationship with myself, I would make things and give them to people, and in a way to try and cement a relationship or a friendship, because if I gave them something that I made, then they would like me.
Mm.
And that was also happening in the background. Um, what else was there? I think that was it. And so I thought, the common denominator in all of these scenarios is me.
Yeah.
And so I've sort of I've highlighted this belief that I've got. I don't know how to be or have a relationship, or friendships. And
Yeah.
I've come to that point.
I love that. I love that. Okay. All right. Let me try and hit on all of these points for you. And so, just for context, I'm going to speak to Jane a little bit differently because she does know how to release. So, when she's talking about I'm releasing on myself, she's talking about some variations of the release process that I teach people. Um, and this is like a classic of when you're on the journey, all of these realizations and thoughts and new stuff comes about for you to get curious about. And you always have this really beautiful, curious nature about you. Okay, so the first and the third one, I see that there's kind of like these reflections, mirrors happening of, oh, they gave me something and now they expect something in return. But also, I realized that I was giving people stuff, gifts, and actually I was expecting something in return. So, like an approval, an external validation. And so, there's always beautiful themes in the live coaching. And just like what Zabi was talking about, and I said, hey, we always want to give from overflow. And so, tomorrow, when we talk about the constitutions, and I've got this really fun way of explaining it, but you know that you're the Kapha dominant, right? And one of the biggest things of the Kapha dominant type person, which Kylie is as well, which is why I asked her to work with me too, is that you're very good at supporting and giving to others, but one of the pitfalls is that you often give at the expense of your own energy. And I think that this is really getting cemented in for you of like, oh my gosh, how much I have just given when I haven't had that energy. I haven't made myself a priority. Okay. And so the support feels even better when there is like healthy boundaries around it. And support feels so much better when it's given without any expectation of anything in return.
Mm.
And so sometimes it's now this time, like these relationships that you've been in with these women for years, or I'm going to imagine decades from some of the stories you've shared with me, where it's like, oh my gosh, like as you're going on on this personal development journey and you're expanding, you're realizing how much is out of alignment. You're becoming more attuned to maybe their behavior that's coming from their wounding, right? You just feel that something's off. And so first, I would start with, well, what do I want to receive? And how can I influence that? Because asking someone else to change can be quite challenging, but we know that through the release process, magical things can happen. You've been very privy to it. So if I want people to give to me without expectation, then can I give without expectation? So you make beautiful things, right? And you have offered to do something with Violet and I of making like a rag rug. I was thinking of you the other day, and it's like, why haven't I taken Jane up on that offer? Okay, because I probably want the rug done like in 5 minutes. I don't want
Yeah,
it to take a whole session. But
it won't happen in 5 minutes. We tell you that right now.
exactly. And that is the beauty of you is, and anyone who's Kapha dominant, which we're going to explore tomorrow, or I call it the grounded supporter in my book, is that you guys are slow and steady.
Mm.
Okay. And sometimes it feels like it's wrong that you're going so slow, but you actually eventually like you're what is it, the tortoise that wins the
Yes,
race.
yes.
Slow and steady wins the race. And just stop looking at how other people are manifesting good stuff in their life at the speed that they're doing it at, because eventually you'll get there and you'll look back and just go, oh my gosh, it was so worth it. All these cumulative steps. What if I didn't question it? Okay. So I've been sharing this story recently in celebration, but anonymously, of a woman who's pregnant in my space, and it's taken 2 years. Okay. It only took a few months after we started working together. And her written words are just so beautiful, the messages. She says, if I knew it was going to take 2 years, how would I have navigated the journey differently? Like, if I could trust and know, what would I do differently? And that's such a beautiful reflection for everyone in our group and to take it into, anything in future. Okay, with our desires, if we knew that it was going to take this time, but the thing is, we don't know, right? And as I said, we sometimes use time as an excuse, and we're going to really explore that in day 3. So, um, I was using that as an example because you've put that offer out there, but I want you to know that it's on my radar. But there is some reason that I haven't taken you up on the offer. I'm not saying charge me, but maybe you need to charge me because that maybe I'm your beta tester, I'm your trial, right?
Oh.
No, I'm not telling you to charge me. Okay, but we've spoken about this before, right? Services exchange is sometimes you don't want someone to help you out because they're not valuing their time. Okay. Um, but then another question is, I know that was a creative idea of yours. Have you actually put it out there? Okay. Or was it just safe to offer Violet and I that opportunity? I've told her about it, but this is the thing. It's like either I'm not ready to slow down that amount or I'm waiting for you to step up into something else and go, damn, I missed that opportunity. I had an opportunity to work with Jane one-to-one privately with my daughter. Okay. So there's that. So the first and the third one are kind of mirrored with one another, right? And if we bring it back to something you can change, is how can you just practice giving the thing with no expectation of anything in return? Okay. Just intention, love, compassion, wanting to pass that on. Okay. So
Do
then,
if I can just interrupt, I do feel with a lot of the work that I've done now, I can now give. I have got to that point that I can give, and whatever happens past me giving, I'm doing it because I want to, not because, yes.
yep. Yep. Yeah. So then it's the consistency in it.
Mm,
Right. And the
mm.
question is, how much do I keep on giving without the expectation?
Yes, yes.
And sometimes it's not until we're in the experience that we realize there is a sneaky part of energy or like a little sneaky human coming in that is just coming in with that old identity. Okay.
Mm, mm.
Um, and I've got another story, and I think this is going to be shared later. And it's of one of the ladies in our group, Chanel. Um, why was I sharing this? Oh, so what I love is that she's just found out that she's saved enough money for a house. Like the bank actually presented to her. Have you watched that replay?
No, I haven't. I haven't
Okay.
yet.
Okay, go back and watch it. And the lady at the bank said, do you know you've got enough to buy a house? So now she has a choice if she wants to buy a house, right? And she's like, was not expecting this, which I love. That tells me she's on the right path. She's approaching it with the right intention and energy. But something really beautiful is that she said, I realized that even the holidays and stuff that I was doing, it was out of a sense of approval and it was coming from a place of pain. So even though it looks good on the outside, on this journey, she's realized it's come from the wrong intention and energy. And so when we talk on day 3 about relationship with time and money, it's like it's all about the intention. And so now that she's not doing all of these things to like navigate a feeling that's coming in that might be uncomfortable, now she gets to expand into having her own home, like another level of safety and stability and challenge at the same time. Okay, so that's 1 and 3. And then 2 is like putting people on a pedestal, and now you have to take them off the pedestal. Can you just describe that a little bit more? So,
Well, um, I there was one woman in particular who was a healer, and I thought she was just incredible. And we became friends on a personal level. And then I realized that she was doing stuff that I didn't consider like I'd put her so high. I thought that she shouldn't be doing stuff like that. I was sort of judging her, and so our relationship didn't really last for whatever reason. Maybe that was the right thing. And actually my mother, like when I was a little girl, I adored my mother, um, and did everything in my power because she was a very unhappy woman. I did everything in my power as a little girl to try and make her happy. And I
mm,
have repeated that
yeah,
expectation and or um, need, and as I grew into my teens and then, as a woman and had babies, I realized that my mother actually hadn't didn't wasn't doing the right thing by me. And so
Mm.
I've now been struggling to understand that she gave to me what she only knew how to give,
Yeah.
and that it's all perfect, but I haven't quite got there yet. And so I'm just
Yeah.
looking, and I've repeated that.
Yes. Okay. So Andrea was on this call, and Andrea is in a very sim is she's in the space as well, and she's going to be sharing with us tomorrow her recent experience of navigating, yeah, something really beautiful and grief with her mother. And you say understand, right? And so just a little thing from the release process, it's the two-way conversation that helps you come from true understanding and compassion. So the thing is that right now you're telling me a story of understanding, which is just coming from the logical, but it's like understanding on that body level. And
Mm,
remember, a lot of people have resistance in the two-way conversation because it's all about receiving what you've never been able to receive before. And this is such a classic thing. I shared recently about how my daughter has no idea. I feel like she's got no idea what I do, but I'm her mother. Like, I'm not here to be her osteopath or her, her emotional coach and all these kinds of things, right? And it's like it's going to take her 20 or 30 years until she's in the same position with her own kids, if she has kids, to go, this is what mum was talking about, right? Got it documented on social media. Anyway, so yeah, like it is interesting, and adding a baby to a family as well is people go, oh my gosh, why did no one tell me this is what it was like having a baby? Now there is a whole variety of experiences. I've had a very positive experience, and sometimes there can be shame in sharing a positive experience. And it's just like when you have the baby, you're now part of our tribe and we can have conversations with you. And you've had, experiences with your children that I know I've been able to talk to you about, but I've never truly been able to understand the experience that you've had. And
mm,
so there are other people that will still be in pain with a similar experience, and there will be other people that you'll meet along the way that can show you like you can move through this. So it's like, well, there are so many possibilities of your pregnancy and your birth. Are we going to talk about all the bad things that can happen? And actually, human nature does talk about that. It's like, let's just go and wait and find out. And so I say to people, there is so much work you can do before pregnancy and having a baby, and I'm a huge advocate for it. But there is stuff that you will only learn once that baby's born, whatever experience you have, when that baby becomes a toddler, a teen, an adult, and all these things. So I've got my friends going, welcome to the teenage years, and I'm like, I can't wait. So there's conversations that, they're probably just like, whatever, Jen. Okay, same as menopause, perimenopause. I haven't been through that. I do believe that this work is really going to help me navigate it. But some people are probably sitting there going, you just wait. And I'm like, okay. So, okay, I was actually thinking about this morning, and I just trust that someone is going to ask it so I can speak about it. Now, I do become friends with some clients, right? But if we stay in a coaching dynamic, I'm not here to be your friend. But I do have friends in my life where we are so transparent and we are so honest with one another. And I value those relationships like nothing else. And I realized as I went on this journey, I felt sad for people because it's like, you don't have girlfriends or men in your life that can speak to you like this. And then that's where I think it comes back to this responsibility. I'm going to talk about it tomorrow. Like, why do we pussyfoot around people? Like, we can sense when someone says it's random, it's lucky that, maybe they're just not ready to step into that world. So we just keep quiet. And I actually get more curious about the people that are quiet than the people who are just like really speaking now. I know I'm speaking a lot today, but I'm like, oh, what is that quiet person observing? Because I know what I know, but what I'm not sharing because that person isn't ready. So that's why I say learn to ask questions, learn to be curious, learn to have the capacity to receive someone's feedback of what they see. Like I can sit there and sometimes listen or I remove myself when someone's talking about all of their pain and all of their issues. And I'm like, I think they're just missing the point, or this is the stage and phase of their journey. But I see it costing them so much time, so much money, and stressing them out. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Like I work, I don't know. Uh, do I not know or do I know? Uh, I've worked with a lot of practitioners, and the biggest thing when I was working specifically with practitioners is you do this emotional work, you create healthy energetic boundaries. For me, I always want to create a relationship where I can be so honest with people because sometimes the things I say can come across quite harsh, depending on the body and the foundation that it's landing on. So, um, you can release on that person. But from
Mm.
my perspective, and I don't know if this person had that same perspective, is if I'm ever going to, because I do coach people who know me personally and they don't get any favors, like they invest at the same level as anyone else because I treat them how I would treat anyone else. Um, because it comes back to the simplicity of emotions and having capacity. So, yeah, I say to people, I'm not here to be your friend if I'm coaching you because I'm here to see your potential. I'm here to help you step into it. But I will see you with love and compassion, just like my horses, right? And I actually had this conversation to someone the other day is that I know I am asking my horse the same simple question. I am clear with my ask. I'm clear with my body language. I'm clear with what I'm doing. But that horse is just like so discombobulated. It's like kicking up a fuss. And I'm like, you don't need to do this. I'm just asking you this. And I will not change. Okay. So I shared earlier, it's like my coaching stays so simple in the same basic foundations until you realize that you've got to change. Then you will realize life is so much easier. As soon as you make the decision, and if it's anchored into a desire and a higher purpose, soul purpose, like you got to run with it. And so that's where I will just like hold my horse in the mess. Sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, am I doing something wrong here? But you got to just stay so consistent, so insistent. And I don't, I used to get frustrated with my horses. I used to get angry at them. But now I'm just like trying to understand you. I'm looking at you with love and compassion. I know I'm not asking you anything complex. And then they decide to change. And then the relationship's so much better. And then they learn to trust me. Anyway, so I think that answers your three. I don't know if there was a fourth thing in there.
No, no, there wasn't. And it's not so much that with the friendships that I've had on a pedestal, it's also just friends that I've just thought, there's another friend, if I could use an example, that I met, 1,000 years ago, and I just thought she was just this bright, bubbly person, and I just wanted to really be her friend, and I was just so like thrilled that she did become a friend. But now that she's the last person I want to be a friend with, because she hasn't chosen to look at, do her own personal work,
Yeah.
and she stayed back in that blame, criticizing, judging.
Yeah.
And so she has fallen off the pedestal. So it's,
Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. So with this, it's like, well, first of all, I go, right, if there's anyone that's like annoying you in your life, you learn to release on them, right? And then I always say to people, like, we can complain about things, but with the intention that we want growth out of it, which is what you're asking for here. And so it's trusting that people cross paths for a reason. I say, everyone who's showing up in this group, everyone who's sharing, everyone who's going to share on the comments and the replay, like, you're all for one another for a reason and for a season. And sometimes people get triggered in my groups, and I always say, just please don't call out the person because you know that if you don't know them, they're just representing something else, a pattern in your life for you to work on. And um, when you start to make these moves, there is a letting go. And look, I haven't had to let go of a bunch of people in my life at all. There's been maybe a couple, but I've always stayed open and sometimes they've circled back and I've attracted new amazing people in my life. So this is the identity shift of do these, and someone was saying in the chat, like the environment, the people around us really like they can help lift us up. Are they ready to support us? Because there's been a couple of people and friends who have actually told me they're really triggered by my life and what I've created. And I'm like, I want you to come with me. Right. So it's like you've stepped into this world and you're like, you want that person to come with you. And if they don't, then just let it be. And
mm,
sometimes it is a conversation of like, hey, this is a situation, this is how I feel, I love you, but I don't want to spend my time and energy in this. Like, this is how I feel, honestly, because that's going to maybe, yes, trigger them, make them uncomfortable, but it could be the thing that they need to hear that causes them to step up. So it's for you to handle, and this is for everyone, just handle being disliked for a little bit. Okay. Because maybe a few months down the track, maybe years down the track, that person's like, Jane, thank you so much for saying that to me because no one else had the guts to say it to them. Okay. But don't do it to help them. You're doing it to help yourself first and foremost. Okay. Um, so yeah, you get to let go of people. But this is where when I coach people, I'm like, oh, I think you're doing it in a bit of a not the right energy there. Like, can we check in with this before, do a little bit more processing, work on the conversation and the communication before you let it go. But this is the uncomfortable thing for people is letting go of people in their life because those people can talk and those people can judge, those people can criticize. But when you get to the point, and people say menopause does this to you, is like you just give zero fucks. I'm like, okay, you're postmenopausal. So is
True.
it the menopause or is it something constitutional? Is it for you to come back to your true nature?
I
So
think all of the above.
yeah. So you already know, and I can hear that, right? This is the intuition. You already know what's required. You already know the decision that needs to be made. Yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. Yes, it's a new identity. You're not used to it, but go and find out. And you do have, a level of support. So it's like when it gets messy, it's like then people have the conversations. It's like, Jane, don't worry, I did this. Like Kylie just said, I let go of my best friend about a year ago before we left Australia. She was stuck and not wanting to grow. There was no animosity. I love her, but I let her go. Okay. And if these friendships are meant to be for you, we can't mess with destiny. They will come back, you know. Okay. Well, let's wrap that one up there, if that's okay, Jane.
Yep, thank you. Look, I'm going to buzz off because I've got
Yeah.
an appointment, but thank you. It's just been
No
brilliant.
worries. Okay, thank you. And I really love because I've had some people who've done a lot of work with me and they're like, oh, I love what you share, but is this going to be best use of my time? I'm like, well, yeah, I used to get really awkward about sharing the same thing, but I have a different light. I've got new realizations that have landed, and it could just be that one thing that
Mm.
helps move you
Mm.
forwards. Yeah. Okay.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
thanks, Jane. Thanks everyone for sticking around. Okay, Cassandra, hi, Stills. Okay,
Hi.
hello. Where are you from?
Sorry, I'm in Ontario, Canada.
Okay, cool. Lots of Canadians today. All right. So
Thank
what?
you so much. And I do want to honor that if you feel like this has gone on long enough, I respect that you need to sign off too.
No, that's okay. No, that's okay. I'm fine. I like honestly, I can go for hours, and people are
I
like,
love that.
like a 4 hour session, but I do have someone at 1, and I will need to take a pee break. But you go, you go. I love this.
I'll try to be brief, but
No,
you
no,
just
don't.
do what
Just
you feel comfortable
you do
doing.
what you need.
Thank you, darling. So, yes, my name's Cassandra, and ironically, I actually own an equestrian farm. We have
Oh,
12
lovely.
horses here on our little hobby farm.
Wow.
Um, so I really, really, that's actually what drew me to some feedback to your post was just, it's very clear your connection and passion towards those animals are. And I feel really attracted to them as well because I really believe they have one foot on earth and the other hoof in the spirit world. They're very magical, intuitive, spiritual beings, and they're so incredibly healing. So it doesn't surprise me you were attracted to a life with them as well.
Oh, I love
But
what you've created with your horses.
thank you. Thank you. And actually, ironically, it's new for me as well. We've been only here on the farm for about a year. So,
That's amazing.
big change.
Yeah, honestly, like I
Um,
just want to acknowledge like that is a really big deal that you have created
thank you.
that.
Thank
Okay,
you.
what can I help you with?
Thank you. So yes, I've been on quite a long health journey. I've just got over about 10 years now of I had a severe brain injury back when I was 26, and I was actually completely bedridden for about 5 years, started to get some mobility back around year 7. And I'm talking, I had to learn how to toilet myself, walk, talk, use my eyes, the whole thing. So the last 10 years have been very full of physiotherapy, the fight, the determination. Um, I dabble both with conventional and, of course, holistic medicines. And the neat thing about my journey, which I would not take away at all, is that because I was so incapacitated and I only had myself and my mind when I was lying in bed for about 5 years, and I couldn't read all of it. So I actually just lost myself in meditation and connection with a higher power. And the punchline is that I walked out of this journey knowing how to do intensive psychic and medium work and
Wow.
intuitive life coaching, all of that. And I do that part-time now just because I am still on the upswing of my health journey, but I do have some limitations. Um, the point being is I've worked so long and so hard to claw my life back to a point of dignity and joy and relief. And I have a 10-year-old daughter as well. So the brain injury happened 3 weeks after I gave birth to her. So the whole thing has just been crazy. So ironically, seems to be my word for today, is ironically, I am finally really getting to the point where I have enough of my physical body back. Um, and my life is really starting to create externally what I've imagined on the internal for a long time, the farm being one of them.
Mm.
Um, but I'm 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 freaking tired, girl. I'm tired. And I find that at this point, I know I still have to, I have this intuitive pull towards like, I know I have to push because there's a lot of other things that I'm trying to work towards to coming into fruition. One of them being currently the first of three fantasy novels that I'm writing. And it's now at like a 15-hour audiobook and it's not even 75% done. And point being is that I'm getting more enjoyment from helping others through my intuitive work and all of that rather than focusing on doing internal work anymore myself because I'm so tired. I've 10 years of heavy, intensive, I'm talking 12 hours a day to get my body back
Mm.
manifesting.
Mm.
And I'm finally feel like I'm like approaching the finish line and I'm gassed out. I'm so tired. I'm tired from thinking about things, manifesting things, working on myself, showing up, showing up, showing up, showing up, showing up. And now I'm like, I feel like I'm getting close to the end, but I'm done.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
know it's a long story, but it's all super
Yeah.
relevant because it's all tied together.
Yeah.
I usually am not the one to raise my hand in situations like this, but here I am.
I love that. And I know there's going to be someone who's watching this replay, and what I'm going to be sharing with you and the path that you are on is so relevant to her. Okay. So she's not on the
Oh,
call
thank
now,
God.
but
That
I
means
know
the
that,
world to me. So maybe
yeah.
that's why.
Yes, and I love it when people say this is not usually where I share, but hopefully that you felt safe enough to be able to share. And I think,
Absolutely.
it can be quite vulnerable if you're someone in service to people to say, this
Yes.
is my human version of me. And,
Yes.
there are times, places, and spaces to share, and there is an energy in which you can share. And I feel like people like myself probably feel, okay, Cassandra wants to move through this. So we share our pain, we share our challenges with a desire like if I can't see this yet, can you help me see what's here?
Right.
So
Yes.
I talked about the words random, lucky, I've done this, right? And just to be aware of that. And I heard you say push, I heard you say fight. And also your body is like, I don't freaking want to push anymore and I don't want to fight.
Yeah.
And so I typically say it in the cancer space. If someone's like, Jen, can I work with you? I'm ready to fight this battle and I'm going to win this. I'm like, I can't work with you. That energy
Mm,
is not what is going to help you heal. It's not a
right.
fight, it's not a battle. Okay, and I'm going to be talking about the horses more tomorrow of like, you know, that you were never going to win a fight with a horse that is in
Yes.
fight or flight, right? Yet we still try for some reason. And so
Yes.
this is the masculine energy, the doing, the physical, the active. And then I say, because I say, like, I work with high achievers, like, they have the ability to do the thing. Even though your health is still in the recovery, you still manage to open up this farm, this equestrian center, take on 12 horses, right? You know, I know what a big deal that is to a level. And um, oh, there's so many things in this that are coming through. And then you've got this mediumship aspect to you, which is so in the feminine. And
I know.
and then the fantasy novel creation is so in the feminine. Okay.
I
So
know.
feminine is about the creative, it's the surrender, it's the intuition, it's the emotional expression. And there are many levels of experiencing the feminine as you go on the journey. So I'm like, oh, she's in a bit of like an identity crisis here because she's so used to pushing. And that's what we get very conditioned to in society. Now, there's a few people that I know that were on the call who are very much in the feminine and the artistic space, but actually need to bring in a little bit more of the masculine structure
Mm,
to help their feminine be valued, right?
right.
Whereas for you, like, the thing is that I don't want you to just drop away the masculine and give up and go into the unhealthy feminine. So I don't know if that part of what I was sharing with you resonated. It's like, oh my gosh, when like look what you've created, don't pull back yet. Like you're on the edge of a breakthrough. But for
Yes.
stuff like fantasy novels and mediumship, I mean, I think there's a lot of great people on social media now that are showing you that you can create a career and you can earn great energetic money exchange from mediumship, right? But that's taken a long time. I really respect the people that have done it when it was being criticized and like poo-pooed. So
Yes.
we learned that things like fantasy and the feminine doesn't create money, but if you can put the right structure behind it, and if you have the emotional capacity to put yourself out there and share your gifts, then you realize, why would I hold this back from someone? Okay. Why would I hold back the opportunity to channel? Do you channel animals or mediumship animals or people or both?
It's funny. I just started adding that to my repertoire in the last year since owning the farm.
Yeah.
So it's a
Cool.
facet of that. Yeah.
Yeah, my gosh, like the amount of people that I have a medium that I refer people to because um, you know, I believe that this work has been able to help people touch into other realms in a very practical way. But sometimes we're too exhausted and we want someone else to do it for us, right?
Yes.
So it's
That
interesting
would be
because you're
me.
you're dancing in this feminine space, yet you've been so used to on your healing journey to be able to push, to be able to
You've
drive, to be
nailed
able to
that.
fight. Okay. And
Yes.
like I'm just hearing your story going, whoa, you had a baby and then 3 weeks later, like no one would have prepared you to have a
Hmm.
brain injury 3 weeks later, right? But there's
Correct.
so much to acknowledge in your younger self, and the release process and a variation of it is there to acknowledge what you have moved through, what you have overcome, because sometimes you see where you are now, we see the end result, but it's the journey. And sometimes we're always chasing
Yeah.
the next thing. Oh, now I
Yes.
can pee. Now I want to walk. Now I can walk. Oh, now I want to run. And so
Yes.
sometimes it
Yes.
can feel like the body just goes, it's not enough. And when
Mm.
someone came on earlier, or there was just a thought, oh, it was about this whole thing of appreciating our bodies. And I have found on this journey, it's like, wow, people are so mean to their bodies. Like, even when your body is giving you pain, challenge, health crisis, it is healing. Okay. People go, I want my
Hmm.
body to heal. And the body's going, I am healing. I am responding to a stress, physical, physiological, emotional. Okay.
Hmm.
Pregnancy is a physiological stress. It can be positive or it can be
Yeah.
negative for some people. And so when you say, like, I don't know if you said these exact words, but it's like, you know, to be what I once was. I'm going to say you will never be what you once were, okay? You will never be what you were before the brain injury. So stop trying to chase that. There is
Yeah.
going to be a different version of you. But I get what you mean in terms of like physicality. And like, this is a whole thing of like what happens when your function, your body, and your movement gets taken away from you. All you're left with is your thoughts. And
Yeah.
that's where I say the emotional work really helps you be able to move through that. And there must have been something in you that knew that you could actually, create the life that you could walk again. Okay, people talk about miracles. I'm like, it's the mindset of someone, it's the
Yep.
determination, which you obviously have, and you've been able to translate that work that you've done in your health into creating like this other facet of your life.
Mm.
And so I say to people, don't dismiss that younger version of you that was able to push and drive and fight, but like maybe let's just change the energy around it for this next evolution in this
I
other
like
facet
that.
of your life. So what if you could start to still and maybe even question, like my client said, what if I knew that it was going to take 2 years? How would I approach this differently? Now that I
Right.
know what I've created with my health and my physical body, can I reflect back and would I have approached things differently? Even just my
Right.
intention and energy around it. Because you know that in mediumship, like you can't fight, you can't push, you just have to be able to receive.
B. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be able to create the space for those messages to come through. And I'm sure you know about the telepathy tapes.
Some.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Okay, you got to listen to it. There is an episode that I've been sharing with my group, and there's one on animal telepathy, but they talk about
Cool.
creativity and consciousness. And so I started this today talking about the horse energy, the momentum, the freedom, the energy. Okay. Freedom was the other one, wasn't it? Yeah. So this is all around us. Support is all around us, but do we have the capacity to receive it? Do we have the capacity to hold it? And so um, this episode talks about ideas. Ideas are always circulating. So the idea that you had for a fantasy novel has been circulating, but it's just decided to
Hmm.
land in your consciousness to be created. Okay. And this is a little bit of the theme of tomorrow when we talk about constitutions. We're going to be talking about the Ayurvedic doshic cycles, which are the
Hmm.
cycles of nature, is that there is an idea, the fire puts it into transformation, and then it gets comfortable. Like the book gets out there. I've been through the process of writing a book as well. Um, and I was like, wow, this is so incredible how this book is landing in ways that I couldn't expect. So,
Right.
um, yeah, like why withhold that? It was very challenging for me to write the book, and in some ways not. Like I wrote it in 6 weeks. So when the
Oh
energy,
my gosh. Oh,
so
oh,
when the
it's been
energy
5 years for me.
Well, okay, the lady that I
Sorry to
shared about, and I'm
interrupt.
I'm gonna tell I'm gonna tell her that I shared about her without naming her, because I know this is gonna be part of her journey, is that she's been writing the lady that manifested the property, like the house being built for her, right? She's been
Yes.
writing a memoir. The memoir was born out of doing this emotional work. So she started a few years
Right.
ago, and I was like, where is this memoir? Like, come on, put it out to the
Right.
world. You've got an amazing story to share. And so, as well as this house being built for her and her husband, her memoir is in the final edits and it's soon to be published.
Hmm.
So
Oh,
that's why I was
amazing.
like, oh, I try not to tell people to come into my world, but I think you really need to have a little refresh and like let some layers be peeled away so that you can step into this identity that I know that is such a gift to people and people need to hear this story. It's like the story of so many women's experience. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's super cool. Um,
Love it.
so and that's been the journey for me as well, Cassandra, is like with my business is yes, there's been some hustle energy. Yes, there has been work, but then it's knowing that I build systems and processes and that I eventually get to work less. And there is also like when you're working in something that you're really passionate about, the energy is there. So like you're
Yeah.
saying, okay, you've been on the call for like 3.5 hours, totally fine. But I could be tired, I could feel not well, but I love it when I get the right questions from people and I just get to like pour all of this out. And I just
Just like, woo.
but I just hope they have the capacity to receive it. Okay, sometimes I overwhelm people and they're like, right, I'm gonna have to implement all of this and then I'll take the next step. So I want you to know that it does get to be easy, but it does require a real shift. And so I talked about the stages and phases of healing, and I talked about it in my coaching. The coaching that I receive and the way I run my business is that give me the strategies, I'll do all the strategies. And then it
Right.
became these strategies I don't think are for me, and therefore, like, what level of business am I at? And now, for me, I say it's a very small amount of strategy and it's all about intention and energy behind the thing.
Yeah.
So, what is my
Yes.
intention
Huh.
and
Yeah.
energy? And I'm in this little, I'm in a slight identity crisis at the moment because, like, this is the kind of space that I love to share in, but it takes way more time to share this.
Yeah.
There's way more stories. And I'm so grateful for my horses because they give me so many stories and they give me so many experiences, right? But
Mhm.
um yeah, like with my business, I move through literally through cycles. So there's kind of twice a year where I'm really on and I love it. But then it doesn't stay like that. And so what I
Right.
find people find challenging is that when they have nothing on, that's when all the old stuff gets to come up because you've got space and time
Right.
to deal with it. And so then people busy themselves again because it's like, this is uncomfortable. I don't want to work with this. I just want to keep my mind
Right.
on the good stuff. But it's
Yeah.
about embracing the duality. So it is about having success and expansion, but also navigating the challenge at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So Kylie's got all this great stuff happening in her life. I've got all this great stuff happening in my life, and I have challenges at the same time. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so I think you're on an exciting transition and your mind is probably trying to work out how, which is the masculine. Give me the logic, give me the strategy. And
Yeah.
obviously don't drop away everything that you've created, but it's like the client that I was talking about who came in with pain, but actually that pain was such a gift because it made her stop being the operator in her business and starting
Mm.
managing at a different level and communicating at a different level. So, um, like your equestrian property, for example, it's like, what do you really want it to be? Because when I had my business, my clinic, turned out that we were the highest charging clinic in New Zealand because one of my new graduates did her thesis on this. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I just picked what I wanted to charge. And I also
Right.
picked it because I had worked in a clinic in Melbourne who charged that much. They had a team, and I thought, well, if they can charge this, their business obviously must be working. And I actually worked with that owner of that business as a coach in my early days. And so many people were like, people won't pay that. You can't charge this much. You can't do that. I'm like, well, I'm going to do it anyway. And when we ended up buying a commercial property, which was not on our radar, we thought it was impossible. I wanted to wallpaper with the quirkiest wallpaper. And the wallpaper is like 10 times more expensive than painting the walls white. And I was just like, I just want to do it. But people still talk about it. Violet's school teacher said,
Ah,
where's that wallpaper from? We sold that building 3 years ago to buy this property, right? And I'm like, that's so cool. Like,
it's stuck.
yeah, so I don't go, right, we're going to make money and then I'm going to get the wallpaper because actually that means we have to shut the clinic down or, it's just a pain to remove all the furniture and do it. Like just build the foundation now and trust in it. And people
Mm.
really loved coming into the clinic because of the look of it. And so
Yeah.
like I still hold on to that story, like this positive story of I just wanted the wallpaper. It didn't make sense. It cost 10 times more. But now Violet's school teacher wants to wallpaper her toilet. you know? So little things like that. But I'm going to say, what is the way you run your equestrian property? And I've got a friend that runs my best friend that I met when I bought my first horse runs a trekking business, and it's been wildly successful. It's so
Mm.
cool. She does all these retreats now, and I love that we can have these
Beautiful.
conversations where we just cheer each other on because we're on that similar journey. So don't look to run it like everyone else does. Like, how is it that
Hmm.
you can maybe be different? And um, it's the energy in the work because I say there's work and there's such a transition from working hard to like doing the right work that maybe doesn't make sense, that feels a little bit uncomfortable, that's ultimately going to move you forwards. And then it's the trust in that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so let your desire of this fantasy novel, let this desire of mediumship kind of let the rest of your life reorganize itself around.
I like that very, very much.
Mm.
Yeah, the masculine energy is most certainly contradictory to the feminine energy that's necessary to write the novel, because I actually do my best to channel what I'm writing basically as
Yeah.
inspiration, like move out of the way, let creative source flow through me when I'm like strangling it.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't work as well, but I'm finding that it's really neat that you drew the connection with the masculine energy I had to adopt
Yeah.
during my push fight phase, we'll put it, um, is no longer as necessary for the next part of my pathway. And in fact is actually probably tripping me up.
A little
So
bit, yeah. And this is where sometimes I say, okay, it's a little bit nuanced because each time you take a step and you implement it, new
thank you,
questions,
Kendall.
fears, and challenges come up. And yeah, I can see there's people that relate to you in here, so I want to check that out.
Hmm.
But it's not to throw away that younger version of you because there's obviously lots of benefits to it, but it's to
Right.
really
That's true.
acknowledge the younger version of you and the good parts, and then let go of the parts that no longer serve. And so
Right.
that's what's comfortable for you and safe because you know that that push and that drive and that fight actually
Right.
got you to where you were at. But
Right.
what's not sustainable is that energy, which is why you feel
Yeah.
exhausted, right?
You nailed that. Yep. I
Mm.
like that. I feel like it's tied in a pretty little present box with a bow on top.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, when you have that moment where it's like, there you go, and on
Yeah.
your way, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes. And so
No,
this
that
is
feels
where I
really right.
say if you don't make decisions for yourself, and actually it's sometimes it's the decisions that you're not making. So remember I said the dark side of manifestation is that people are on the cusp of a breakthrough and they just want to throw it all in the bin and they want to go into the unhealthy feminine. Oh, I just have to surrender. I just got to let go. I've just got to do nothing. And I'm like, no, you've misunderstood. Okay.
So my ears were like this when
Yeah.
you were talking, because I was like,
Good.
this one's for me.
Yes, and I don't want the people that have presented me with this challenge to think I'm talking about them because I will only talk about this when the challenge has presented 4 times over. So I'm so grateful
Right.
that you're just like, I don't know you, but you're like, yes, that story was for me.
Correct.
Um,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
it's it is to embrace more of the surrender, the let go, but not to just swing the pendulum down into that unhealthy
Correct.
feminine. Okay, duality. And this is where it's not a balance. It's not about masculine and feminine balance. It's like allowing the drive of the masculine and then allowing the lean back of the feminine. But where a lot of people get
Hmm.
lost is they do too much strategy, too much masculine, and they push too hard.
Right.
Yes. And it's about what is the simplest, which feels
Hmm.
uncomfortable. You're like, is it not more complex than this? What is the simplest masculine action that the universe will reward? Where you can know and trust yourself and believe in yourself that that was the right action aligned with me and the future version of myself. And now I
Yes.
can trust in the timing. Now I can collapse
Yeah.
the timelines for things to come my way. So
Yep.
yeah, I just wonder if there's really an acknowledgement of what you've actually achieved in your health, in your business.
Hmm.
And that's what your body is looking for, to open up the world that doesn't make sense, mediumship and
Yes.
telepathy. And,
Yes.
there's also stories, actually, it's on the telepathy tapes as well. I think telepathy tapes is great for people who are a little bit skeptical because they are, I don't know why they're going down the science pathway because it's like, I was just thinking the other day where people go, "Oh, I'm doing this because, yeah, they've proved it with science." And I'm like, yeah, but then you're handing yourself over to science because there's always outliers in
You
science.
can't
But
quantify the unquantifiable. It
yeah,
it just is. You can't put a label on it. But for some people, it might be the bridge between uh
yeah,
making spiritual perspective possible for them through like that human perspective. But I totally agree. It's redundant, really.
yeah. And, my journey has been very much from the science, academic, rote learn, masculine brain into this more
Same.
feminine, intuitive, and I love this space so much more. But
Yes,
it's less understood by people. That's where I've had to just get over
correct.
what people think. Um,
Yep.
okay, I can see that this has really helped people land some things. And
I'm
let's
so
see,
glad.
Kasha. So Kasha has some really cool breakthroughs with the last cycles. I can relate to Cassandra's story in that I've been through a deep
Mm,
journey to transform my pain into light over the past 20 years. And now
mm,
arriving at a place where I feel exhausted, and yet I am on the cusp of stepping into the version of myself that I came here to be, which is allowing my daughter's energy, who passed away 5 years ago, to flow through me as we begin to work together, bringing channeled art through that will touch people's lives in a positive way. I so want to step into this, but somehow I'm not doing it. And so I just want to celebrate
wow.
Kasha because over the last cycles, and it was on the year of the horse, that turn, she put herself out there. She put a workshop out there. This is relevant for Jane, where I'm like, why aren't you doing your rag rug workshops? And so,
Mm,
and then you book them out, you book them out. And Kasha, I don't know when you jumped onto the call, but it's just like, I want you to be able to sustain the inspiration. I want you to be able to go through the flux and the flow. Um, Kendall says, thank you for sharing, Cassandra. Robin said, oh my gosh, something very important just landed. Thank you.
mm.
Just search telepathy tapes on Google. So, um, yeah, thank you so much. I'm gonna wrap this up because I've got to pee and go to put a lamb roast on, and then I'll just jump on a beautiful call with my client who's gone through so much transformation. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. If you have a friend or someone who you believe will really benefit from just being in this energy and space, I would love you to share the link. It's theartoflisteningtobody.com/cycles. If you can pop it in the chat. The replays, we'll get them up as soon as we can. They'll go in the Facebook group and we will send an email. For those who aren't on Facebook, the original cycles, the replays are only on the Facebook page. But just stay present with this one. You can go back to the other ones when this is over. Tomorrow, we're all going to tap into our little inner horses that we have, and it'll help you understand how you interact and respond to emotional work, how you interact with the world. Little glimpses of it have come through today. So you don't need to watch each day in order until you get to day 3. Then it would be ideal. I know that you'll take something out of this. I know that if you come back and watch this another time, you'll have a different level of capacity. Something new will land. And so, yeah, at the moment, this is my free space. This is my free group. Remember that you guys get to create the experience by chatting to me. I'm going to read all of this later and responding on the replay if new stuff comes through. If you're on the Facebook page, there is a featured section that has the manifestation thread. It's got the share your realizations and your breakthroughs. Um, and then you also can also comment stuff on the replays. So I will read them, but Kylie will be responding to you or acknowledging you. Just do it for the sake of sharing and putting the vibration frequency out there of what you desire. Okay, so the link for the cycles, the Art of Listening to Your Body.com/cycles if you want to share this free experience with any of your loved ones, because releasing and manifesting good stuff is much more fun with friends. uh, let me put it in the chat. Or are you doing it, Kylie? Okay, she's doing it. Kylie's onto it. Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, this is just really special. I love being in this space. Okay, have a great day, and I'll catch you same time tomorrow if you can make it. Bye.